now, so please. We are live streaming on Zoom and Arya Samaj live YouTube.
ये जवानी की अकड़ सब खाक में मिल जाएगी। ये जवानी की अकड़
There is a big confusion.
Okay, hello.
Kapil, are you coming here?
Yes, I am. Give me a second, please.
Okay. Please try coming towards the front rather than sitting in the back. Please. You don't want to be a back seat student. Towards the front. Is this something not working, Kapil?
Yeah, give me a second. Okay, I'll take care of that later. That's fine. All right. Okay, thank you everyone. Really appreciate you all coming here to honor and welcome Nilesh Shok, who needs probably no introduction. And well, first of all, I'm really glad to see that there are a lot of youngsters here. So anyone who's below the age of 30, please stand up. If you're at the borderline, it's okay. Even if you're at the borderline, it's okay. But so let's give a big hand to them and their parents, because it's not easy to bring these kids to these events. And honestly, this event, we had requested Nilesh to cater this event for age groups 10 and above, because you guys are the future. And we want you guys to come and tell us what kind of events you all want. We will bring those events. So we need ideas from you, not we old people giving you ideas. Y'all have new ideas, y'all have new energy. You tell us what people of your age want to see, learn, and with our experience, we'll try to bring that to you. So on that note, I really appreciate everyone for that matter who's here. Now, Kalyan Bhai and Gopi Bhai sitting right at the back. I don't know why, Gopi Bhai, you have to be here. So really well, appreciate for them. And also to the co-host, Samaj of Greater Houston, the committee, Ashutosh Ji, Garg Ji, who's very always encouraging to bring such events, because some places don't want to cater to some events, but we are so lucky that we have the committee here and the people here who encourage us to do things which are good for the Sanatan Dharma. So I'll have to give a little bit about Arya Samaj, so just a little, Kalyanji will give a little introduction after I'm done, and so a little bit about Arya Samaj here, just because some people are new to this place, and just so that you know a little bit what goes on here, and you can help contribute us and others. So we have a DAV Montessori and elementary school here. And it's been there for 25 years. So it's not something like we just set up like a year or two ago. It's produced some amazing students who've done very well for themselves. And it's one of those things where they're very deep rooted in compassion, culture, and heritage, in addition to everything else that they study. So it's not just based on, you may think that, okay, no, there's sports, there's everything. So it's like any other school or better. We are expanding to middle school, and we are also constructing a specialized STEM and science center, and upgrading athletics and other student facilities. So this is about the regular Montessori school, which is up to grade 5. We'll be expanding to grades 6, 7, and 8 very soon. And there are buses running from KT and Sugarland. So if at all you know any family who will benefit out of this, please send them our way. Okay, we do have some open seats for the coming academic year. Apart from that, we also have some program here to accommodate low-income families. So if anyone is from the low-income family and they want to be benefited, please send them our way. And they don't necessarily have to be from Sanatan Dharam. They can be from anywhere. This is a regular school, so we do not, like, there's no distinction whether which dharam you follow. Okay. Apart from that, we have a Sunday school here. So that was the first part. Then we have a Sunday school here, which we call the DAV Sanskriti School. It's conducted during the academic year, and it's every Sunday from 9:45 a.m. to 12 noon, where it's conducted in a very efficient and proficient way for kids all the way up to high school. Kids are segregated as per their age group, and they are taught Naitik Siksha, Hindi, and then they have electives like yoga, music, tabla, Vedic math, and so they can pick an elective as well. And it's really, my own kids come here. That's how I got, I have been associated with this Arya Samaj. And I think most of the people who volunteer, once they come here, they don't leave. So, long story short, the registration to DAV Montessori and the DAV Sanskrit School for the coming academic year is open. If you think somebody can benefit, please guide them this side. Also, we have free yoga classes here every Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And if you want to receive any updates or get connected, just show up on a Saturday or a Sunday, 8 a.m. We have free yoga classes going on here. Also, we have plenty of volunteer opportunities for our weekly, monthly, special annual programs for adults and for kids who are seeking volunteer credits. So if at all you want to be associated, do a good job, do something good for the community as well as get some benefit out of it, you are more than welcome. And it's a very pressure-free environment. No one tells you, hey, you have to come next week or something. It's come when you can. Just whenever you can come and you feel like doing it, do it. We'll figure a way out to do it. Okay. A very recent addition to our community welfare events here has been the Mangal Milan, which is basically every once in a quarter. It's a socializing event, but a little more than that in the sense that you can come here to chit chat with like-minded people. You can offer some services. You can receive services if you are seeking help with some insurance or something. Meet like-minded people. And you will probably, someone will guide you to the right person. It's also where small businesses who are looking to improve their footprint or meet more people from the community to get business. So it's a way of, within the community, we help each other. So that happens once every quarter, and the next meetup will be, so far the tentative date is September 6th. Remember, September 6th, it's a Sunday, 2026. So this is to build the community and give back to the community and help each other. Okay, we give business to each other, we help each other with their questions or whatever. Now, today's event, I want to say something is, it's actually been done at a very personal cost to these two gentlemen here. And there are no corporate or any other business sponsors because we didn't have the time to do it. So I would genuinely request everyone, if you think you've benefited from this event and you want to see more of these events, please be liberal with your donations or, something that you feel is worth it. Because this is a way where people will be encouraged to bring more such events to Houston. Because people may spend out of their pocket once or twice, but if, it's not a corporate, then, so please, just, we have the QR codes. We have a donation box by the tea snacks counter there, right? We did not yet, but we'll set it up, right? So, yeah. So whether you're going to give cash, check, Zelle, whatever, and if you want to just, if you can today and you do want to sign up for something, okay, you want to donate, just let us know. We'll note your name and number, and you can do it later as well. So please, okay. Some housekeeping rules here. Cell phones should be turned off, okay, and the phone should be in silent mode. Please, no phone calls while you're in here. Do not interrupt with any questions or comments during the presentation. We have a Q&A session later, okay? We will be handing out notes. You will write your questions, and then we'll pick few, depending on how much time we have, and Nilesh, you will answer those, okay? If you guys are under 30, write your age as well, because we want to give first priority to the questions coming from the younger people, okay? So today you guys are, you guys are the spotlight is on you guys, okay? All right, we'll give you a cheat sheet. Okay, donations, I've told about it. We'll have some courtesy snacks and tea outside. We don't allow food and drinks inside. So please, if you have to, the restrooms on the right side, gents, female, there's water, there are water dispensers in the dining area. So anything, or just reach out to me, I'll be in the sound booth. So I know this place a little bit. That being said, then there's tomorrow, I'll leave it to Kalyan Bhai to tell about tomorrow's event and give a little introduction about the event. Thank you. The speech was a little longer than I thought I wanted to, but unfortunately I had to say something. So.
Thank you. It's all right. Do I need that?
Yeah, you can
Yeah. Hi. Now I'd like to introduce 15-year-old Siddharth. I think this is very nice to see that some of the people like Siddharth is taking interest in Sanatana Dharma. Dharma to us, it means something we hold, okay? Religion is not specifically dharma. If somebody asks, what's your religion? We actually have a dharma. Religion is only a part of it, okay? So if somebody asks from the West or any Western-minded person, what's the book? The religion has to have a book. We don't have books like Bible and Quran, but we have a library. We have so many things. So it's a very deep quest for understanding. And then we have Book of Morals too. That's the part of the religion. With that, I'll introduce Siddharth to talk about it a bit, to get next speaker come onto the stage.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Tatsaviturvarenyom Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo yo nah prachodhimma dayo an. I have just recited for everyone the most powerful Gayatri mantra in the Samaveda style. My name is Siddharth Sundaram, and at the outset I would like to thank Dr. Kalyan Uncle and Dr. Nilesh Oak for letting me speak about my journey through the Vedas and Dharma. Now, Dharma comes from the Vedas as per the saying, Veda Dharma Moolam. These Vedas are spread into four main parts. The Rig Vedam is the oldest and contains the most amount of hymns towards various gods. The Sama Vedam is the Veda of song, containing mostly the Rig Veda put to a tune. Next is the Yajur Vedam, which is more prose hymns used for rituals and yajnas. Last is the Atharva Vedam, which is a more different group of hymns used for warding off negative effects. Now, these Vedas all follow a similar structure. These are broken into four main parts. The Samhitas are the core, containing the oldest and most central hymns. Next are the Brahmanas, which are the prose texts telling us how to do rituals and yajnas. Next are the Aranyakas, or the forest books. These outline the spiritual and metaphysical effects of all these rituals. Lastly is the Upanishads, or the ending philosophical texts. These discuss more inner spiritual topics, like self or Atman. Next, I would like to share with you one of these Upanishads, the Taittiriya Upanishad. This Upanishad is part of the Yajur Vedam, and mainly outlines the nature of topics like self-realization and Brahman, which is not a person, but actually the immovable reality of life by which we follow. This Upanishad has one line that reads, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. This line conveys the idea that God is in your mother, father, your teacher, and your guests. Another line within this Upanishad reads, Annam na nindyat, annam na parikshita, annam bahukurvitaha. This verse explains that you should never blame the food and never waste food. Instead, grow food and nurture it as your own. If we follow these rules, food insecurity and conflict over food should never occur. One of the first things I've learned in my journey through the Vedas was the Shri Rudram of the Yajurveda. This is mostly contained of hymns dedicated to Lord Shiva. Like this Taittiriya Upanishad, the Shri Rudram contains lines describing how Lord Parameshwara is seen in all forms. One part of this reads, Parameshwara is in trees, potters, blacksmith, hunters, and in fishermen. This line starts as Namavrukshebhyo Namakulalebhya Karmarebhyascha Namapunjishtebhyo Nishadebhyascha and continues on like that. Ultimately, what this Rudram wants to convey to us is that God is in every form, and there will never be hate if there's universal love when God is everywhere. I would like to end off my little presentation introduction by telling you guys about the Sedhu Sama, which is something that I've learned in my journey through Samavedam, which is the one I'm learning currently. This Veda is very important, and it's especially enjoyed by many acharyas, including the Mahapariva of Sri Kanchi Math. Within this Sama, there are 4 main teachings. The first teaching is Dhanam, or charity, as heard in the verse, Dhanena Dhanam, which gives the importance of charity and the gift of giving. Another main teaching is Akrodam, which is heard in the verse, Akrode Nakrodam, which shares the idea that people should never be jealous or angry. Another main teaching is Shraddham, as heard in the verse, Shraddhaya Shraddham, which tells us to do everything with dedication and drive, no matter what it is. Lastly, Satyam is found in the line, Satyenan Hritam, which tells us the importance of being truthful and to never lie. Thank you for listening. Now, along with everyone, I look forward to Dr. Nilesh Oak's talk on Sanatana Dharma, which would further our understanding of our Dharma better and to help those in faraway places to uphold and carry forward these traditions. Thank you.
Okay. For many of you, probably you don't even need me to give an introduction to Nilesh. He's so much presence in the social medias, and he wrote some excellent books that you can read about Nilesh's work. To me, his biggest feat is to establish the authenticity of Ramayana and Mahabharata as a history, not as just a mythological story. So through really scientific understanding, and I'm sure he's going to present some of that during his talk. So with that, I'll ask Nilesh to come forward and give his lecture.
Namaskar. Because of the arrangement, it feels like I'm here and everyone is way up there, but we will do with that. Namaskar to everyone. In terms of timing, what I'll do is, we are maybe a bit late there, but that's fine. I'll set up for 1 hour 10 minutes, okay? And if I can do faster, that's fine. Just will brush up on things. So some things may feel like going fast through. Actually, my intention is to create the spark. Intention is not to download a lot of information there, but just to create a spark in different directions. Hopefully that gives, we talked about the young audience. I'll tell you guys, the young guys there, just like we even point them, and every time we say, young guys, pay attention, or hey, here you are there, they feel like, come on, I didn't come for this. Okay. Frankly, I'll tell you, the young guys, when I give presentations, the young guys is never a problem. Okay. 7 to 17 is my favorite group, and then 18 to 30. These are the two groups I'm dealing with. In fact, when I wrote my first book, somebody who was like 10 years older than what I am now, okay, but this is like 15 years ago, said, yeah, this is a great book, but it's very technical, and maybe people over 55 might be interested in it. I'll tell you, this is 15 years ago. When did the Mahabharata war happen? And consistently, because through Amazon or any other these days, the data, the availability, consistently the group which is very fascinated and the follower is between 18 to 35. Okay, so that prediction came out wrong there. And when I go to the summer camps and 717 is actually, I don't need to, Nileshji, another Nileshji there, just different people, but they mention like, now it's specially tailored for the young audience. It's not specially tailored for the young audience. In fact, I feel we don't need to do any such thing. That's in a way putting them down. I mean, you just think of it. Or, if I'm bored with anyone, or if I'm tired, exhausted of anyone, which is the retired folks, Okay, I have to just run away from them and things like that. Not from Kalyan Bhai, The reason is he's also a chemical engineer. Okay, but in India, what people say, so how's your journey going? I said, I'm exhausted of the retired folks. I mean, of course, they bring a lot to the table, but then they also will ask a haywire question. And so on that point, I will say, in Marathi, I'll just translate that to the Rushi, you don't ask it's cool, where its origin is. To the river, you don't ask its mool, the root where it begins. And I would say to a speaker, you don't ask about his present. And the reason I'm saying it is just afterwards, if we just get a time to mingle, then people say, where are you right now? Where were you? And where are your kids? Please don't ask. Not because there is anything secret about it. As soon as I download the whole thing to one guy, the next guy asks the same question. It's very exhausting. Okay. So with that, let's go here. Understanding Dharma. Exploration through Darshana Shastra. Now, how many of you here have, before coming here, has heard Darshana Shastra? Just, I won't ask any questions, but the familiar, like Vaisheshika Darshan, Sankhya Darshan, Yoga and something. Okay, just few. Before coming here, who is here who has not heard about me, not read any book, not watched any of my talk, or not read any blog articles? Raise your hand, please. Okay, good. Okay, so significant number actually. So those others who have seen it, there will be a repetition. Okay, but bear with me. So let's go with this. Understanding Dharma. Purva Paksha. Okay, Purva Paksha is trying to understand what we typically think we know. Okay, what our assumptions are. So if we have to understand Dharma, the Dharma is for us, which means we have to understand who am I, who are we. And now that may scare some people because you would have heard that. Somebody will just say, who am I? And talk for 1 hour. Who that is. No, I'm not going to do that. In fact, we are a living entity. I think that we all can agree on that. Not just human beings, the animals and then the trees and whatnot. Now, I'm going to give you a definition of a living entity that we, all of us will agree here. Okay. So there are many ways of defining this, but this is one very famous. Jnanecha kriyamana jivaha. Okay. A living entity is one who knows, in a simple language, who desires and who acts. This is again beauty of a Sanatan. Anytime they start something, they will start with a definition. Okay, do not assume anything. And so one who desires, one who knows, one who desires, one who acts. And if you understand this, then you will start see how the Hinduism, Sanatan has based on this. Is basically based on this foundation because it's meant for us, meant for our individual growth. Okay. In fact, when I came to North America about 35 years ago, and then people, I don't know if that happens to you, I'm sure this happens. They say, hey, you are Hindu, right? What's Hinduism? And younger kids, they will get that in the school too. And I used to wonder, where do I begin? Like, oh, Hinduism. Like Kalyan Bhai mentioned, it's not a religion of a book. It's actually a dharma of a library. Okay. So where do I begin? And I used to say, okay, maybe my Ishta Devata is a Ganesh, let me start with Ganesh. I'll say like, oh, that elephant god or something, I will begin. That doesn't always necessarily work. Or maybe I should start with the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh or something. No, I'm just going to tell you something that, we don't have to do this. Then it gets into confusing why you have so many gods. None of this. That all can be discussed, but if you understand the foundation, those things even doesn't come. It's up to you. If you want multiple gods, have them. If you just want one, have them. If you want none, that's fine too. And still, you are a dharmic person. Okay? So, Jnanicha Kriyamana Jiva, that means the knowledge, the desire, and then the action. Now, to fulfill this desire, but in a such a way that is sustainable, we have got this dharma framework, which will absolutely rhyme with this. Okay. So if you want the knowledge, then do you know what you need? If you want to get the true knowledge, Satya, he referred to Satya as one of the foundation. If you want to get the true knowledge, you must have a freedom of thought. Otherwise, like somebody says, this is it and this is what you must believe and this is what you follow. Okay. So freedom of thought or vichar swatantrya is our first foundation. So this is how I explain Sanatan. This is how I explain Dharma. This is how I explain Hinduism. Okay. The first one is a freedom of thought, vichar swatantrya. Now, as soon as you hear of freedom, then you start worrying. But if you give an unlimited freedom, now what? Kids, do whatever you want. Okay. Well, Krishna also says that to Arjun, but of course, after talking 18 chapters. And then, right? And Krishna, there is a dialogue going on, So the podcast is not a new concept, by the way. If you just remove few of our Indian texts, the dharmic text, rest of it is all Puranas, all Mahabharata, Ramayana, and many others are basically podcast. One person asks, other person responds. Right? So podcast is not a new concept. But you have this freedom of thought, you worry about it. Krishna gives the whole knowledge and this is yathechasi tatha kuru. Now that you have heard me, now I have told you everything, now use your intellect, use your common sense, viveka, okay, vimarsha. Vimrushaita dasheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Use your intellect, use your common sense and do as it pleases you. Now Arjun is smart enough that Arjun says, karishe vachanam tava. Whatever you have told me, I'll just follow. But normally we will say, we need rails. So freedom of thought is there. The rails are basically the conviction in absolute morality. I use the word absolute because the morality can change from one place to another. But this is, you'll get tons of this material on the morality, the Dasha Dharma Lakshana, okay, or the life of a Sthita Pradnya, the Daivi Pravrutti, okay, that will give you this niti. I don't need to tell you, Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteya, Akama, Akrodha, O Lobo, or something like this. So conviction in your absolute morality, and there is an emphasis on the action. If you are thinking, I'm going to sit lazy and I'm going to get, all that I want, I will have a bliss, I will have a blast, it won't happen. Actually, think of it when you are having a blast, when you are playing on the playground. Okay, when you are doing something, your activity, that's a favorite activity to you. You forget everything, okay? The action is a must. So that is basically achar saishnuta or endurance in conduct. Now, do you see, this actually goes right away with the jnanecha kriyamana jiva. So there is that knowledge, there is that desire. So we have a desire, that's perfectly fine, but we need to regulate it so that it's sustainable and we can enjoy it for a long time. Okay. Now this is directly has to do with what? It has to do with the buddhi. So we come to our knowledge, come to the truth, the jnana through our buddhi, through our intellect. Now for the mind, to regulate our mind, we need the sanyam. Okay, and for that, sorry, it's moving a little bit there. And the action, we do it through our body. And it has to do with the satya, sanyam, and seva. Because this is, we talked about the definition of a jiva in terms of the soft power. So the knowledge, desire, and the desire to do action. Now this is, we can look at this, the living entity. Now it will look different if you go to the animal kingdom and so on. And how do we know that the animals are living entities? How do we know that animals are jiva? Have you talked to them and asked them what is Their definition? No, we just do it through the anumana, through the inference we figure it out, okay? Just if you observe a cat or a dog, you know, okay, they know something, they follow the behavior, you know, certain their favorite person comes in and they know for food they will go to someone in the house, for taking you out around for them, they will go to some other house, so they have that knowledge, okay? They have a desire for all of this thing and they know what actions to do. Like I'm traveling everywhere and I meet all the different pets, you know, and immediately they start licking and just, hey, pet me. They even know who is the guest and how the guest can be manipulated. So they have that, all of this, okay? So this is our basis. Now, if you look at this, how are we? It just looks as a certain body, but it's as a simple model, it's a Sharira, Mana, Buddhi. It's my body, it's my mind, and it's my intellect. If you want to divide further, you can, but we'll stay here. And that also rhymes or goes very smoothly with these three aspects, which goes back with the jiva. So the dharma aspect is done. Now what we have to do is how to basically get the knowledge, how to fulfill our desires, and how to keep ourselves busy. That's the business dharma is in. Okay? And from a darshana perspective, now, darshana perspective is not going to give you a different answer, but it gives, the answer may feel different, it may feel even shocking to some of you. The reason is, it is given for a certain type of thinking people. Okay, Bhagavad Gita talks about 4 types of devotees. Anyone knows? Not a test, but anyone knows the 4 types of devotees? Very good, thank you. So, can you clap for them, sister there, okay? Now, she didn't say with the whole thing, but I know she knows. Artha jidnyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. So, these are different inclinations. So, depending on that, we need different things. The darshana is basically meant for people who want to innovate things, okay, who want to revolutionize things, who want to bring proper understanding, who want to find the truth, the hard truth, not the truth like a 2 plus 2 equal to 4. That everyone knows. But something that we think, oh, how did this happen? And they want to work on that. They want to work on something challenging, okay? That's where. So that's where we have this 6 Darshana Shastra. If you look at Vaisheshika, you can think of this just as an equivalent, not exact. As an equivalent, you can think of this as ancient physics. Not the way you see, but that's Vaisheshika. If you look at the Nyaya, it's like an ancient logic. Okay, if you look at the Sankhya, it's like a basically ability to discriminate, you know, think of imagining repairing a car. You take the parts out, you clean them, repair them, and put it together. That's what the Sankhya is. It starts from the car that comes here, you take the parts out, you figure it out, you put it together, and now it's functional. So you start from the complete car, you break it down, you put it together. So the ultimate aim is that. Okay, but you just understand, it's the same thing, even if it's a part. It just a parts and bring it together. That's Sankhya. Yoga is basically what? Suppose you want to see who you are. And so, am I looking fine? So what do? Stand in front of a mirror. But suppose there is no mirror. Okay? Then what do? So let's say there is a pool of, you have a bucket and there is a water pool in it. You should be able to see, that looks fine. But if there are disturbances in the water, you're not able to see yourself. So what you have to do is, this is the disturbances of the mind and even the intellect and a body. Body is not feeling well. If you are getting a headache, you cannot pay attention. So you want to just get that all in equilibrium. There is no waves whatsoever on the surface of the water. And now you look into that pool of bucket, you can actually see yourself. That's the idea of a yoga. And then Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa, those are some of the things. Now, what is Dharma from a Darshana point of view? Vaisheshika, and I'm just using one from Vaisheshika and one from Sankhya. Okay? The Vaisheshika, because this is something, because Dharma we go all over. But it's like, so Dharma, somebody who is a dharmic, that means the person should not be interested in prosperity. Okay, so if somebody is working for a money and says, but don't be dharmic, don't waste time, don't be after money. Now we typically say this to Indians, because as Kalyan Bhai informs me, the number one thing for Indians is money. Now, we were discussing and he says, Indians seem to do very well everywhere. He says one of the reasons, of course, the DNA of thousands of years of rishis, okay, but the other thing is like we truly love money. So therefore the median income is high and all that stuff, okay, even through hard times. And yes, even the Vaisheshika would agree with you. Okay, but Vaisheshika gives the second part that we Indians tend to miss. Okay, it says the Vaisheshika definition of a dharma, it says yato abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhi sadharma. That thing, whatever that is, skills, excellence, tools, whatever you want to call that, that thing that allows you or that leads you to prosperity if you make use of them, okay, is dharma. And then it says nishreyasa. Those things, those tools that also takes you to ultimate good, okay, the rapture, the aha moment, the blast, the ananda or something like this. So if you are, say, taking prosperity, but you are not feeling the ananda, then it's not a prosperity. So sometimes you will hear the word, there is a money or wealth and Lakshmi, and they are two different things. They can be same thing, but then if they're not same, something is missing, and that you can learn through the dharma. The second definition, this is very important, guys, and a young crowd should like it. I hope they like it, because usually what do the parents say? Like when you ask a dharmic question, they say, don't ask me question, it's written there, so believe it. Do you get that? The young crowd there? Okay. And the old ones, we were also young at some point. We were taught the same way, so we just got brainwashed. In fact, when people ask me, like, okay, so Nileshji, what are we going to do with the Gen Z? And then people use this word. I said, I'm not worried about Gen Z. Because why do you think there's something special? Actually, everybody living, whether inside this room or outside, anyone Indian who is living right now is basically deracinated. We truly don't understand dharma. I'm not saying, including myself, we are in a matrix. Even when a very pro-Indic, pro-Sanatani person says something, some of the things that we say, we are not even aware that we are brainwashed into a stupidity, and we easily just quote those statements. We are in the matrix. It is that bad. Okay? But it's possible. It's possible to get out of it. One of the things that Sankhya tells you as a beginning, he says the herd method. We say Shruti, and that's great. We start with the Shruti. But it is not to be misunderstood, because Shruti, Shraddha, we begin with the Shraddha, that this is true. We just initially don't say, oh, come on, how's this possible? That is actually very tamasic. You say, somebody said this is possible. Let's wonder how they would have made it possible. This morning we were having discussion on Astra. Okay. Now, two bright chemical engineers didn't figure out the final solution to it. But my point is, you can have a discussion. Doesn't mean you have to give up saying, oh, because the astras are not available, they are not there. But if you start working on it, actually you may find the answer. And the beauty is, even if you don't find the answer, in the process, you end up solving many other problems, although you don't solve that particular problem you began with. Here it says the herd method, just a simple way, is like what you heard, Shabda, okay, or a Shruti. He says is like obvious. Now, this may be surprising to some. This is Sankhya saying this, Sankhya Karika, Ishwara Krishna's Sankhya Karika, a wonderful text, 72 verses, something that the young crowd, because they said, because he said young crowd, so I'm saying it, but the old crowd also doesn't know this. How many of you know Sankhya Karika, Ishwara Krishna's Sankhya Karika? See, young crowd, look at the hands, not even the one hand goes up. This is 72 verses, extremely fascinating, okay? Now I'm going to make a statement. So why should, again, I don't have a time to explain you the Darshan Shastra, but why should you study this? If whatever you are doing, whether you are doing a job, whether you are studying, whatever personal desire you have to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, whatever it is, and whatever field you go to, and if you want to do something original, innovative, exciting, I would say the study of Darshana Shastra is a non-negotiable thing. It's just non-negotiable. And most of us have still managed without it. But actually, if you get to it, you will be amazed the kind of insights that will give you to whatever you do. It doesn't matter, right from cooking to sending a man to the moon or whatever that is. So here it says, don't start with just what you heard. Take it with a Shraddha, but don't stop there. In fact, most of the information we get, whether from a newspaper, TV, so this is not just referring to Shruti, anywhere is something we hear, it's actually conjoined with impurity, corruption, and excess. Would you agree? What you hear on the news and what you read in the newspaper, peer-reviewed papers, books, magazines, is hyped. Now, there is a truth in it, but it's also hyped. Sometimes we even misunderstand. It says the superior and opposite of that comes from the discrimination of the manifest, the unmanifest, and the knower. And just we are going to look at some of the tools. And just to keep it sort of entertaining, otherwise you'll say, oh, Nilesh Oka, I heard he has done something with Mahabharata Ramayana, but he's not talking of Mahabharata Ramayana. And this is always a challenge, So sometimes I go and some people will say, but we came to hear about Mahabharata and Ramayana. I'll tell you the role of this. So this is done. As far as the dharma thing is done, it is done. Now to understand these three things, we use a different dharma frameworks. Something we use in a social way, something we use in an individual way. So one of the social frameworks, lot maligned, because, and again, we cannot defend it properly. Okay. And one of the reasons we don't defend it properly, because we also do not find peace with the truth. I'll tell you what the truth is. So Varna Ashrama, everyone has heard the 4 Varnas. Okay. And then an ashrama. Ashrama is for an individual, Varna is for a society. But then people will say the Western academia or whatever and the whole deep state, whatnot, they will say the caste and cow and curry and something. And we say, well, even I say that, so I'm guilty. We say the caste is basically was not there in India. Casta is a Portuguese word and that's how it came. We had a Varna system. All true. Having said that, we must accept that any system such as ours, which is there is Sanskriti and a wonderful frameworks, over time, anything that is Sanskriti turns to Prakriti and Prakriti turns to Vikruti. Okay, we have to look at our things. Now, India, I can give you many examples, but from Maharashtra, I will give you example of Sant Jnaneshwar, who was there about 800, 900 years. And the way, I will not tell his story, but the way he was tortured and his brothers and his siblings were tortured. That time there was no influence of the West whatsoever. And there was no influence, not a significant influence of the offensive Islam also. I'm not saying therefore they are pardoned. That's not my point. But even when they did not exist, we had certain things. And we talk about it because we can learn from it. If you go back further 7,500 years ago, if you look at the Mahabharata, there is a description like Karna was not allowed. And now we get very emotional about this, right? Well, so it may be exception and that's why it is encoded, but it existed. So don't feel like it was not there. So we have to accept that a Sanskriti goes through Prakriti and a Vikruti. If we accept it, then there is a question of fixing it. If we don't accept it, then it will just not happen. Having said that, so let's not blame Varna Ashrama. That's beautiful by itself, but that doesn't mean it did not create at some times basically a discrepancies and a Vikrutis and a problems. Okay. So yes, this is good, but we should also understand it, why sometime it happens. Now, what is the beauty about this? If you go to the Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter gives a beautiful description. Now look at this. What are these? How 4 things? Krishna says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srushtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Depending on individual inclination, okay, and depending on the kind of work he's doing or he or she is doing. So sort of a combine, it gives you that. Now, this is not to say, see, remember, the person has to have a desire, that's why he's a living being. Okay, the person basically knows something, they can change their knowledge, but they know something to begin with. Like we don't have animal schools, right? But animals are learning and they're having their life, lions and tigers and everything. But the emphasis can change. And this is where we use our intellect to make life better for a society and individually. So look at the Vaishya and Brahmin community. So that's like the emphasis on the intellect. That doesn't mean they don't do the work. If you come to the bottom, that emphasis is on the physical strength, the Kshatriya and a Shudra. And what's going on here? The emphasis on serving the society, that's a Vaishya, supply chain there. And Shudra is the skills, okay? That basically, Shudras are called Prajapatis. They are directly connected with the Brahma because they are the skillful people. They build the houses, buildings, perform the things and, help the society. The Kshatriya is an administrator and a warrior. And the Brahman is basically the taking the knowledge, bringing new things, improvisation. Purohita. We know the word Purohit and we don't think more about it. You hear the word Purohit, what comes to your mind immediately? The person in the temple and maybe doing a puja. That's not what even the meaning. He may do that. Pura means a city or a place and hita meaning the well-being of the city. The person dedicated through her knowledge for the well-being of the city. That is the idea behind it. We have basically reduced that role to something very trivial and something like this. Okay. So this is our Varnashram. Ashrama is like for an individual person. Ikigai. I'm sure the Japanese word, most of you, who has not heard Ikigai? Who has not heard? Okay, then I have something to tell you. Okay, so Ikigai, again, the reason I want to tell you is just, I mentioned Varna. Think of this. The idea behind Varna and Ashram, especially Varna, but also Ashram is this. What you love, if you can combine with what you are good at, and if you can also combine with what the world needs, And in the process, if you can find yourself to earn, very good. Okay. Basically, it's a very balanced life. Okay. That's you. And some of the words I'm going to throw there, what you love and what you're good at, that's your passion. What you love and what the world needs is a mission. What you're good at and also allows you to make money, that's your profession. But you choose not to do that. Then therefore, you use still same skills, it pays you and it also meets the society's needs, then you have got a vocation. Okay? And then if I'm going to impose those words, guna, karma, dharma, artha, you can see this. The reason I use ikigai, one may say, okay, so the Japanese must have learned from Indians. That's one possibility. I'm not making that claim. Indians might have learned from Japanese. That is a possibility. Okay, again, I'm not making that claim. But the point is, you can also consider third possibilities that independently, these two groups of people came up with this idea. One called it ikigai, another called it varnashram. Now, the idea is, this is what Bhagavad Gita says. Bhagavad Gita says, although Vyasa, in his great mercy, decided to combine the knowledge Mahabharata as an encyclopedia of case studies for us so that we can learn, it's not necessary that the knowledge is basically stuck in some book. It is said in one of the book, by the way. You know what is the name of that book? Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, it says, Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Aswatham Prahuravyam, the cosmic tree, okay, upside cosmic tree. And he says, where is that knowledge? Who to be called a Vedavid, the knower of the Vedas? He says, Chandausi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavid. The one who is capable of comprehending the knowledge through its branches and through its leaves is the Vedavid. Not necessarily in the book. Of course, book is a very efficient way of getting there. So that's the idea. Okay. So yes, independently people can reach the same conclusion, similar conclusion, and we don't have an issue with it. Therefore, frankly, that is the reason we have a library instead of just one book, because it comes from the freedom of thought. Now you can start relating to it. But the common theme that binds all the books of the Sanatana library is the rails of the Niti. Everywhere you go, doesn't matter which book, you are going to find. Even the Jainism and Buddhism. You know, my wife says, Ashwini, she says, what is Buddhism? What Buddha understood of Hinduism is Buddhism. What Mahavir understood of Jainism, Hinduism is a Jainism. Okay, there may be some different flavor. There may be emphasis on something different, but the bottom line, the basic niti, the basic freedom of thought doesn't go away. Jainism has a Chatushkoti logic, Syadavad, multiple possibilities and so on. Okay. Let me know when you are bored and I'll get into interesting stuff. Refining your intellect, just one thing. Again, people say, when growing up, I heard this, in a very small village on the west coast of India. People, if I find something new, discovery comes into the science or something, and people will say, I don't know if young kids, you hear that from your parents here. Oh, this is all there in our Vedas. This is all there in our literature. And then I say, where? Show me. And the small village I lived, there was no Veda. And frankly, let me tell you, even if there was a Veda, it wouldn't have helped me. How many of you have read Vedas? Let's take Rigveda, for example. Okay, yeah, so that tells it. Okay, not many. But if you read without, it's a very exciting text. But if you read without the context, you are going to get bored within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, because if you don't know the context, you don't know what it is talking. It's like a formula, E equal to MC square, F equal to MA, and so on. It can be a very boring list if you don't know the context. Okay, so this is from Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad. This is a definition of a science. But what happens, definition of a science, yes. What happens when young ones grown, doesn't matter which age, when you hear a Sanskrit shlok being recited, generally what is your reaction? Tell me, what do you do? Two things you do typically. You fold your hands and close your eyes. Lot of this stuff is not meant for just folding the eyes and folding the hands and closing the eyes. Actually, you have to keep the eyes open, try to read and make sense of what it is saying. Okay, this is from Mundaka Upanishad. Satyena labhyas tapasa yesha atma. Like you want to know the ultimate truth. Atma is given in this case of a ultimate reality, ultimate truth. Okay, and how do you learn that? He says know the ultimate truth, you have to know the truth. Truth of what? Truth of anything that you are excited about. This is the beauty. Just start with whatever excites you. If it's a cricket that excites you, start there. What is it that makes the ball swing? Robbins effect. What is it that makes the aeroplane fly? Bernoulli principle. Doesn't matter, whatever you are excited about, begin there. Truth of anything. Satyena labhyas tapasa yesha atma. To get to the atma, the ultimate reality, begin with searching for the truth. And how do you do that? Samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. Samyak is the equilibrium, objective way of looking at things. If you have to summarize whole Bhagavad Gita in one word, that is a sanyam or samyak. And you will hear that word in Bhagavad Gita, it will come many, many times. So, samyak jnanena, that is, you want to get the objective knowledge, brahmacharyena nityam. Always follow brahmacharya. Now, this is where boys and men get scared. Right? But actually, there is nothing to be scared. I want to tell you a quick story. Mahabharata. Now, I know this is afternoon, so story time. Yeah. Just a small part of it. Mahabharata war is almost over, the last 18th day. And most of you know the story. If not, that is a reason, enough reason to go and read Mahabharata. The last night, Ashwathama from the Kaurava side attacks the Pandava camp. Now, Krishna has taken Pandavas away. The Pandava brothers are not there. But many other Pandava side warriors are sleeping. And Ashwathama and other two folks, they basically kill most of them. The 5 sons of Draupadi are gone, many others are gone, Drishtadyumna are gone. But fast forward the story. Then once he does that and he realizes, Ashwathama realizes the Pandavas are not there, then he gets scared. He knows what is coming. So he runs away. When Pandavas come to know, the Bhim and Arjun, immediately Bhim leaves towards Ashwathama, okay, and the Arjun follows. They come finally and they see Ashwathama there. Now he's scared. And as soon as Ashwathama sees Arjun and Bhim are coming, to protect himself, he takes the Brahmashira, okay, that's the missile we are talking, Astra, and he releases at them. In response, now that's how it happens, there the non-violence is not of any use. Somebody has attacked you, you have to respond, okay. So in response, Arjuna takes the Brahmashira Astra, he also leaves at Ashwathama. Right there, Narad Muni and Vyasadev comes. He says, guys, hold on, what are you guys doing? They have already released and they're going towards each other. He says, hold on, you will destroy the whole world. Please take those back. And Arjun takes it back. Ashwathama says, oops, sorry, I'm not capable of taking it back. And this is very interesting what what the Mahabharata says there. He says, Arjuna could take it back because he was following Brahmacharya. Ashwathama couldn't take it back because he was not following Brahmacharya. Now, if you know the story of Arjuna, when he goes on a Tirtha Yatra, wherever he goes, he does a parakram. Brahmacharya parakram, right? Ulupi or whoever that is, he's just doing it. So it's not a very narrow meaning of a celibacy. Celibacy is important because you are focusing on the studies, like as a brahmacharya. That time is important because just focus, get your degree, start your business life, whatever it is. But brahmacharya is the bigger meaning, is that trying to understand Brahma, the ultimate reality, whatever you want to call it, your lifestyle is adjusted in such a way that it is conducive to understanding that ultimate reality. Arjuna passed the test, Ashwathama did not pass the test. Okay, the last one. If you do this, antasharire jyotirmayo hi shubram yam paschanti yataya kshina dosha. We are in Houston, many engineers think of a signal to noise ratio. This is a very assuring thing, very optimistic and assuring thing. We don't have to clean all our errors, mistakes, etc. to get to know the reality. If you reduce your errors, kshina dosha, okay, then the signal automatically becomes stronger, and that is also enough. Because our job, whether in Adhyatma or whether in a science, is to get closer to the truth. Even we attain the truth, we don't know we are at the truth. Okay, what we are doing is the best approximation to the truth, get closer to the truth, and just reducing of your errors is capable of doing that. Still we may have our share of follies and whatnot, doesn't matter. Yam paschanti yataya kshina dosha. When you minimize the error, you can get it, you can see, just like, some waves is there on the water pool, but still you will be able to see enough to apply a tilak or a lipstick or whatever that is needed, okay? That's the point. And just a quick summary look at on the left side here, just in English. Increasing signal to noise ratio. Mere hard work is frivolous. Like some people just say, I'm taking this subject and I'm working on it. No, no, no. Try to ask some questions. We'll look at some Darshana Shastra. Ask, why are you doing this? What is the benefit of it if you solve the problem? And so on, okay? And avoid being unscientific. Let's explore this via Itihasa. So we are again looking at Jnana, Niti and Karma Yoga, because the technical stuff or a list of things to do gets boring, tiring, hard to do. What our rishis in their great wisdom, they said, let's do it through the case study. So just like I said, podcast is not a new thing. The case studies that you see in a business school and a law school and a medical school is not a new thing. In fact, the entire Mahabharata is nothing but a big encyclopedia with its Upakhyan and Akhyan, is like a series of case studies. Ramayana is the same thing. That's why after 14,000 years after Ramayana or 7,500 years after Mahabharata, we still discuss the events of Mahabharata or Ramayana is like a neighborhood gossip. Okay, we still get very emotional. Like on my way from India, I stopped in Germany where my niece is there, and she said, Mama, before listening to you and likes of Ami Ganatra and many others, I used to be very angry about Ram. That can happen. But now I get an idea. Okay, these are case studies, guys. These are case studies given to us. Okay, and still we have to ask why we consider Bhagwan Ram as a Bhagwan Ram. Okay, even when there are certain things that may make us emotional and not very comfortable, whether in Mahabharata or Ramayana. So how does Bharat look like? Would you agree? As geographical kind of looks like this. The reason I'm showing this, of course, the Pakistan is included here, but you get an idea, right? You know, the Indian continent came from Africa 50 million years plus ago. On the way to Madagascar, it says, stay here, I'm going further. It came up, hit Asia, and the Himalaya is formed. So this is India. But remember, when we look at the Indian civilization, especially going back to Mahabharata, Ramayana and Rigveda, we are talking of a time that's very hard to imagine. Frankly, we don't know how far back we have to go, especially Rigveda. But with the Mahabharata, we can give a specific time. Ramayana, we can give a specific time. Rigveda, we can definitely give a lower bound. And we can say how far old we have to go. So how old is Bharat civilization? Are you ready? Now you have full stomachs, most of you. Okay, so you should be able to digest this stuff. So we truly don't know. Let's start with that. So just because I'm giving this answer, 5 years from now, if I'm talking to you again, I might have a different answer. Okay, so if you're ready and if you want to say, just give me some good number, then you can, so just a Rigvedic references and only astronomy Rigvedic references, you can go up to 220,000 years. 220,000 years, okay? And everything is clear, right? There are lots of stuff there. I'll just go fast through it. But somebody says, come on now, just give me a break. I am educated into the sophisticated Indian education system where Romila Thapar taught me, about India or something. If you cannot digest this, the rabdi is not for you. Okay? Let's go for I came from Germany and they have 10% yogurt, 10% fat yogurt, actually extremely delicious. Just a very right balance for like a Srikhanda or something like this, So if you want something like this, then we can go for 75,000. This is actually, you can see many streams. There is an astronomy stream, there is a geology stream, archaeology stream, agriculture, domestication of horses, river science, paleontology, paleobotany. All of this we should be able to very comfortably say that our civilization is 75,000 plus. Don't miss the plus part. More than 75,000 years old. 220,000 years old. Okay. Now you are going to get confused, so I'm going to give you one number to carry. Okay. Now if this is a bit heavy for you, let's go for a skim milk. Yeah. Now just before that, because if I would have showed this, you would said, come on. I'm not comfortable with this. What are you exactly not comfortable? Namulyam likhite kinchit. If the evidence is pointing you in that direction, what is your problem? There is something wrong with you if the evidence is showing. This is a paper not written by Nilesh Oak, because I know you won't believe that otherwise. But the two Swedish scientists, geneticists, it's a 2020 paper. Look at the title, okay? The reversal of human phylogeny. Homo left Africa as erectus, like a bipedal, but came back as sapiens sapiens. And you know what sapiens means? A thinking human being, so to say, okay? Now just look at the broad world map. Of course, you have Africa and Asia there. And within that, because they don't know the exact location, it cannot be done. In genetics, you can't point to like, everything started from Houston, Texas, and that only in a Galveston. You can't point like this. So what they're showing is that broad area. But look at that area. What is that area? It's that broad Bharatavarsha. So therefore I showed you the map of India. So this is the India we are familiar with. But when you look at Indian civilization, especially Mahabharata, Ramayana, Rigveda, you are not looking at even the India, the continent that is bound by Himalayas. Even the north of it, the west of it, all the way to Iraq, even Turkey, all the Jordan, that's all Indian civilizational influence, all the way to Egypt, and in the east to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and so on. Okay, and Tibet, and the north in the Tibet, Uttarakuru, all the countries east of Caspian Sea. Do you know what it was called? Now today we call it Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, whatever the names are, Uzbekistan. They are all called Uttarakuru in Ramayana 14,000 years ago, in Mahabharata 7,500 years ago, and even 2,000 years ago, Ptolemy is calling it Uttarakoro. So jokingly I said Ptolemy was Bengali. Right? That is the region that we have. Okay. Now this is a quick summary of my 35 years of work. The axis that you're going to see is like a x-axis. You will see the time. Today is where we are. 0 is all the way your birth years are written, whatever, 2004, 2010. It started with that 0, Gregorian calendar beginning, Julian calendar beginning, and so on. Jesus, connected with Jesus. Go back, K is 1,000, 5,000 BC, 10,000 BC. Everyone understands that? Okay. Against this, quickly my work. I started with the Mahabharata, 100,000 verses. I'll tell you what my theory is when we talk about Darshana. 300 astronomy descriptions, bringing them together in a scientific fashion, logical fashion, as if like solving a crossword puzzle, jigsaw puzzle. How many work with jigsaw puzzle? Kids, of course you have done it. Crossword puzzle. Who still works with crossword puzzle? Very good. Who has at least one time worked with a crossword puzzle? Okay. This is easy stuff for you guys. Science is not that difficult. Okay. Think of this, taking these clues, using now in this case astronomy, because that's what I used, but it doesn't have to be astronomy, and just solving it. This is the answer you get. Mahabharata 5561 BC. Now immediately you will hear, but I have heard so and so have said something like this. I don't want to know what you have heard. It's wrong. 5561 BC. Okay. If you look at Valmiki Ramayana, close to 600 astronomy descriptions. Again, the same methodology. Bringing it together like solving a jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle gives you 12,209 BC as the year of Ramayana, Ram Ravan Yuddha. Okay, again, very thing. And now both of these texts, the Ityasa text that we are left with, they both talk of all 4 Vedas that you beautifully explain, and some of the key things. All 4 Vedas are mentioned in both of these texts. Just using the logic, what can you say about the timing of the Vedas? You don't know the exact timing, but they're definitely older than 14,000. Okay, that much we can say. Actually, if you look at the river Saraswati, anyone has visited river Saraswati in India? No, this is good one. Sometime you hear, then that is in Mana, in Uttarakhand. There is a river Saraswati there. Actually, there are many river Saraswatis, but the existing river Saraswatis has nothing to do with the Rigvedic Saraswati. That just gone, poof. But do you know, if you read Rigveda, what it says? Grandest of the grand river, bigger than Ganga, bigger than Sindhu, bigger than Satluj, bigger than Yamuna, bigger than Narmada, bigger than Kaveri, bigger than Godavari. Where is that river? Gone. Nadi tame, Ambi tame, Devi tame, Saraswati, Giribhya a Samudra, from the high mountains all the way to the ocean. It's just not there. Fortunately, we have the sciences like geology, geophysics, geochemistry, hydrology, morphodynamics of rivers. More than 200 publications in the last 35-50 years. If we just bring them about Saraswati, about the northwest rivers. If you look at them, we can very comfortably say the descriptions of Rigveda, of Saraswati in Rigveda we see, are definitely older than 25,000 years. So now if somebody asks you, assuming on a Shraddha you take this, okay, initially begins with Shraddha, then you have to study all this to convert it into Prajna, the intellect. That is what Patanjali says. He says, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka. So you begin with a Shraddha, with a conviction, it appears to be true, let me study, and turn that into an intellect where you can explain to people in a very comfortable fashion like what I'm doing it right now, okay? So this is a quick summary. 3 tools I want to talk about from a Darshana Shastra. And we use the word Darshan Shastra, but the boundary between the text are not just very hard boundaries. In fact, it's like a Japanese garden. How many of you have visited Japanese garden? Okay, so think of it. What's the unique feature of it? Like, it's all designed, right? It's all designed. The fish is also going into a pond. There is some weed that has come out, and all the fern and all stuff. But it's all designed. They want it that way. So in fact, the Japanese garden, you cannot tell exactly when the artificiality stopped, the nature begins. And when the nature stopped and artificiality began. You have to figure out, is this naturally the stone has fallen there or they have placed it? Even the rough stone is designed and it is placed there. It is something like this, okay? So there are no hard boundaries. What you see at the top, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it here too. The last 400, 500 years of modern science. If you have to summarize it, finally it was summarized in 1960. The best philosopher of science, Sir Karl Popper. And this is how he defines. This is the tool, guys, by the way. And this is the tool for prosperity and this is the tool for ultimate good. This is the tools for Ananda also. Okay. So what is that tool? It says, if you have a problem that you are trying to solve, you start with a hypothesis, and the way it explains, it's the triangulation of explanation, prediction, testing in the context of theory, in the context of background knowledge. This is what Sir Karl Popper said in 1960. Now, if you go thousands of years back and you ask sage Gautama, okay, who formulated or not formulated, who basically composed the Nyaya Darshana. You say, okay, what is science about? Finding the truth, knowing the truth, right? Getting close to the truth. What is Nyaya Darshana? What are Darshan Shastra? Darshana, literally to see, to comprehend, to understand. Okay, understand what this reality is, know the truth, get closer to the truth. If you ask Gautama, do you know what Gautama will say? In Sanskrit, you can talk very short. Any Sanskrit experts, by the way? Here? No, okay, so I can comfortably bluff now. Okay, Gautama says, Pancha Avayavaha. By the way, because we are in a Arya Samaj hall here, I would say, of course, I started studying Darshana Shastra, especially Nyaya Darshana in mid-90s. But finally, one of the Swami, I don't know his name, but on the YouTube, he has 108 pravachan on Nyaya Darshana. And the same Swamiji gives lectures on other Darshana Shastra. You can go to, just type Nyaya Darshana and Arya Samaj or something like this. He's from Ajmer. 108 lectures. Each lecture is like a 90 minutes, but worth every minute. Okay, so it will take some time. You don't have to do it overnight. Now, the Nyaya Darshana says Pancha Avayava, the next 5 elements. That's it, guys. The same 5 elements, by the way. You ask, what are those 5 elements? It will say Pratidnya, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanaya, Nigamanani, Avayava. Just I'm taking these names and I have superimposed on the Popper's framework. No difference. It covers it. So this is the one framework. I am using it for 35 years. Okay. Actually, not all 35 years. If I would have known this during my master's thesis would have been better. I did not know that. 2000 is when finally I kind of got into it. It's the same framework multiple times for every single piece of evidence. I'm using it for 35 years and I'm going to quickly share some of the outcomes of that. Once you use that framework, find out something, you solve a problem, usually that is not the end of it. I mean, it's the end of that problem. You can clap and, cheers and party and that's fine. But you would have heard, no good work goes unpunished. It's happened. So when I did Mahabharata, people said, Nirish, now do Ramayana. Because they think, this guy must not have any other work. Okay, do Ramayana. When I did Ramayana, no, what about the Rigveda? Okay, then now they say Sushruta, now they say do this, now they do say Parshurama. In fact, I went to Konkan and gave 2 lectures on Parshurama. I said, I don't know much about Parshurama. And the organizers who were inviting me, they said, you still have 2 months. Okay, and whatever I said, hey, whatever I could gather about Parshurama, I will do it. But that's how, we all have to become parts. At a minimum, suppose you hear something on a podcast or read a book, you like it in the Dharma context, Rajiv Malhotra's books. Young kids, are you familiar with Rajiv Malhotra? No? Okay, so the parents are responsible for it, okay, not telling you. Parents, do you know Rajiv Malhotra? Yeah, so being different, at least get to being different. Read as a family thing. It's a bit heavy book. Read as a paragraph. If one paragraph is enough, stop. Know when to stop. but that's required. Then something you like, you have to tell others about it, and not just once, multiple times, and to multiple people. Otherwise, we will, Indic Renaissance will not happen. The second thing, so you solve one problem. So there is a P1, first problem, say when did Mahabharata war happen, when did Ramayana? Again, the reason I'm using Ramayana Mahabharata, I can use my examples from chemical engineering and polymers and something, but that will be very boring for you. I can use some of the innovations that I'm working with, innovation cells in India, like a handheld tractor and stuff like that, but that can be boring too. Like I will just tell you the numbers, the amount of money saved, and so on and so forth. Therefore, I'm using Mahabharata. This is something I did passionately for many years, dating. But so first problem, when did Mahabharata war happen? When did Ramayana happen? To solve this, I proposed a TT, tentative theory, hypothesis. What is my hypothesis? Very simple. It has to be simple. How many of you know, the young crowd, I'm just asking, okay, the Kepler, have you heard the name of Kepler? No? Johannes Kepler? No? Copernicus? No? Okay. Texas is protecting their children, no? Okay. Newton? Yeah, Newton, okay. They don't teach Copernicus? Okay, yeah, controversial. No. Copernicus said sun is at the center. I'm saying how the theory has to be. Ptolemy said earth is at the center. Copernicus said sun is at the center. Kepler came and said sun is at the center, but the orbits are not circular, they are elliptical. Okay, and that's how it is. My theory here, I'm just giving you an idea how the theory should appear. It should be very simple, generic, universal. I said, because I'm trying to figure out Mahabharata, all astronomy descriptions of Mahabharata are descriptions of Mahabharata times. And you would say, come on, what is there in it? I know. This is how simple theory can be. In case of Ramayana, astronomy descriptions of Ramayana are descriptions of Ramayana times. But they are extremely powerful. Now what does that mean? Any description of astronomy comes that is in the text, you have to show what time it leads to. And all of them you bring together, and that's how that 5561 comes, that's how that 12,209 comes, okay? So now once you did that, now do you think people congratulated me and says, Nilesh, you are a great guy? I mean, some of you do. But there is a whole troll army there, okay? And that is to be expected. That is to be expected, okay? So, I mean, what is the saying they say? The people throw the stones at the tree only which has a mango or something like this. That will happen. But the next thing is that when you do something revolutionary, it leads to more problems of higher complexity. That is P2. And what do? You take P2 and repeat the whole exercise again and have a blast in the process, okay? So we'll take you through some of the examples. Now, this is known in science as tetradic schema. 4. Tetra as in like a 4. Now, that sounds very sophisticated. If you go to Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a story of a Bhrigu Varuni Vidya. Okay, Bhargav, Varuni Vidya, Bhargavi, Varuni Vidya. Everyone who knows the story, who does not know the story of Bhrigu Varuni? Okay, I'm not making you feel bad, guys. Okay, that's not the intention. No, actually I like it because now I feel like, I'm telling something new, right? So there is a Bhrigu and a Varuna, their father and a son, and Guru and Shishya, student and a teacher. So Bhrigu, the son, the Shishya, the student goes to father and says, Father, tell me what is Brahma, and then I'll get to playing. No, father just says, go study, do tapasya, okay, think about it, contemplate, do whatever it takes, come back and tell me what is Brahma. The son listens, young kids, the son listens to the father, goes outside, studies whatever, comes back with the answer. He says, Father, I understood what is Brahma. He says, Annam Brahmeti Vejanat, the food is Brahma. Maybe he visited Houston. He's just going around, restaurants are full, I mean, when I was here 25 years ago, and the survey said, the question would say, how many times a week Houstonians eat outside? And the answer was 7. Something like this, So yeah, maybe he just come back and says, Annam Brahmeti Vejanat. Father, am I right? Father just smiles. He says, go back, study more and come back. He goes and comes and he says, now I have a better understanding. Prano Brahmeti Vejanat. You get an idea? So that this continues in that circle. Then he comes back, Mano Brahmeti Vejana, Vijnana Brahmeti Vejana, Ananda Brahmeti Vejana. The point is, You start with a certain understanding, and that's perfect. But then you keep on refining it. You get through this iterative process closer to the truth. It's not a one-step process. That's the nature of it. So this is the second tool. The third one, now here I'm sure there are people, but they listen to me and they say, Nilesh ji, I understand what you're saying, 12,209, 5561 BC, but I don't agree with it. Or somebody else I have heard and he or she has a different date. And so how do I know? I'm confused. How do I know which one is better? Don't be confused. Don't be lazy. Don't be tamasik. Here is the tool, that from a modern science, Popper's, comparison, how to decide one theory is better than the other, how to decide one theory is explanatory superior than the others. There are the answers. You can just look at it. Take my theory and compare against anything. Don't make it my exercise again. Otherwise, why I'm doing this, okay? Now, where the modern science stops, that's where the Darshana Shastra begins. Now, this is, you have to take it on a leap of faith right now, on a Shraddha. But if you start studying it, you will have that blast. Wherever the modern science stops, that is not to undermine modern science, all the gadgets we are seeing here, right from the phone to this, it is basically a gift of modern science and technology. We cannot deny that. But even then, I'm saying, where the modern science stops, that's where the Darshana Shastra begins. Okay, this is how powerful it is. The bottom that you are saying is the way of basically looking at the top. In fact, AI, how many of you use AI? Like some Claude and whatnot. Go talk, say, hey, what is the definition of a philosophy of science, the modern science? Then say, what is Darshana Shastra or Nyaya Darshana? And then ask something like this. Okay, can you tell me the pros and cons of the modern science and the pros and cons of Darshana Shastra, and do the comparison? You know what? I won't want to give the answer. I'll just give you a hint there. I do it. Okay. And then it says, whereas modern science assumes that you have to be honest, you have to have an integrity and so on, Darshana Shastra doesn't take it for granted. Darshana Shastra, if you try to cheat it, that's why the cheaters don't want to use Darshana Shastra. If you try to cheat it, Darshana Shastra will catch you, saying this is a Hetva Bhasa, this is a Chala, Jati, this is Nigrasthana, you are defeated. Okay, so it doesn't take the integrity, it doesn't take the objectivity for granted. It says just follow my steps, it will help you to decide. Okay, so quickly Mahabharata. Now this would be some repetition for some of you. Now the question, because of likes of Romila Thapar that we have, is she says that, and there are many other lackeys and even many of the pro-Indic folks in India. Okay, just they think that you will think they are pro-Indic, very dedicated, but they will say some such stupid statements, such as, before we figure out anything about Mahabharata, first we have to clean all the interpolations. Have you heard this? Yeah. We have to clean this interpolation. And how are you going to clean them? Yes, you can clean them. Yes, there are interpolations, but the method is scientific acumen, Vijnana Buddhi, Tarka Shastra, Tantra Yukti. The people, likes of Romila Thapar and the rest, who claim that none of them have either the logical scientific acumen, Vijnana Buddhi, logical reasoning skills, or Tantra Yukti. Okay, and we are recording it for a very reason. We'll make sure that it goes to them, and hopefully they come for a debate. Okay, I'm doing this for now 15 years. They don't. But we just take it. But come on, Nilesh, have you published any peer-reviewed papers? Now, I don't know if you're going to ask that. I say, I don't have peers. Show me my peers. You think Romila Thapar is my peer? No, it's not. They don't understand what is scientific acumen, logical reasoning skill. These are the tools to actually find the interpolations. Yes, there are interpolations. Yes, there are Pathaved, variant readings and so on. But this is the way to actually use it. Let's do that. So, consistency of the text. How many of you have seen Mahabharata before? Okay, if you have not, this is how it looks. Okay, this is a Gita Press version of it, like what is that, 6 volume there. Geography of Mahabharata, kind of interesting. Again, remember I told you India is what we look, the first picture I showed you. But as we go back to Mahabharata times, actually the landscape of Indian civilization, the influence, because these are all Janapadas, the individual kingdoms are there. But in terms of culture, what they are carrying actually goes to the east and west of India. Okay. And actually beyond, but I'm just showing it for Mahabharata. Just remember this for 10 minutes, okay? What you're seeing there, it's very relevant. Now, finding the year of Mahabharata war, it is like, how it is? It is a very tough problem if you think of it. It's for us like searching for a needle in a haystack. Actually, the problem is worse. How many different Mahabharata dating claims you have heard? Do you know that you have heard something different than 5561 BC? Okay. So I just give you example. There are more than 140. There are 140 individual people coming with those many dates, or they just copy paste. They say, I agree with that guy. I agree with that guy. So the problem is not just looking for a needle in a haystack. The question is, are they looking in the right haystack? Okay. So for example, here, now which one? Where you have lost the needle? I'm telling it metaphorically. The reality, do you know what it is? Let me ask you, if you want to know something about Mahabharata, tell me, where would you begin? Read the Mahabharata. Okay, give him a big hand, please. Okay. Absolutely. Out of that 100, and this was not like a pre-planned or anything, right? You vouch for that, right? Yeah.
Ask the second question. Which Mahabharata?
Very good. Yeah, I don't. So, out of 140, 130 plus folks who have come up with the Mahabharata date, they do not even touch the Mahabharata. Okay, so this is the litmus test. Don't say, well, I don't agree, but how come he gets different? Ask the questions. That's why we are talking Darshan Shastra, and that's a dharma. Okay, so now what do? Let's start with the Mahabharata. Again, what kind of evidence you want to look for? 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, 3 plus 3 is equal to 6 is good, but that's not what we are interested. We want something exciting, something tough to solve. Like, somebody came from Dallas, right? Working on, you communicate with me, you said, right? Yeah. So we have to make sure the problem is something exciting, but also doable. We have to have a both, right? So I started about whatever those many years now, 1994, with that problem. There is one verse in the entire Mahabharata, one of the astronomy observation out of 300. Now the young crowd may like this. Okay, so this one is basically the day before the Mahabharata war. Vyasa, the author and also the character in the Mahabharata, character in the sense he is a participant. Okay, he is a contemporary to Mahabharata times. He is telling the blind king Dhritarashtra, please see if you can stop the war. And in that discussion, he is saying, I'm seeing different signs, markers, etc. And one of the markers he mentions, he says, for the young crowd and the old one too, everyone knows Saptarshi, the 7 stars, the Ursa Major. Okay, in the sky in the north, you can see this 4 stars, rectangle, and a tail, 3 stars. The tail has 3 stars. The middle star is the Vasishta or Mizar in modern astronomy, and the small star next to it is Arundhati or Alcor. And if you see tonight, you will see Vasishta is ahead, Arundhati is behind. But Vyasa says it's exactly reversed. That is where my journey began. Ya Chaisha Visruta Rajas Trailokya Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Tayapesha Vasishta Prushtata Kruta. Vasishta has placed her husband on her back. I say the typical scenario you find in the malls on the weekends. You might have come from shopping, right? Arundhati is walking, shopping, deciding which store to enter, and Vasishta with the bags, shopping bags behind, right? Something like this. Yeah. So I thought, this is in 1994, I was just finishing my master's, and I thought I had 15 days between the thesis and say, okay, I'm going to solve this. Now, there are 2 friends of mine from those many years, when I was in Alberta, they are also here. And so I looked at it, I pulled the book from the, I forgot the library name now, but the humanities library connected to the Hub Mall. Okay, and I pulled this to look for where Bhagavad Gita is. I ran into this interesting stuff. I did not go for Bhagavad Gita. And I said, this is very exciting. I mean, I knew enough basic Sanskrit to know what it is saying. And I knew decent astronomy. And I said, wow, I cannot be the first one. So actually, I ran to Professor Murdeshwar's place. And he says, Kaka, have you heard something like this? And so with his kind of a weak eyesight, but he went there and pulled a book that was a book by Dr. P.V. Vartak. Swayambhu. And so that's where my journey began. So Dr. Vartak has tried to solve this problem in multiple different ways. Just to give you an idea how difficult or interesting this problem is, Lokmanya Tilak tried to solve it. S.B. Dikshit, the great astronomer, tried to solve it. Bharatacharya C.V. Vaidya tried to solve it and said, no, somebody must have inserted this verse into it. Bharat Ratna Panduranga Vaman Kane said this is impossible in the very order of nature. So you get an idea of this problem. And I was thinking, being a chemical engineer, that I will solve it in 15 days. I did solve it, but not in 15 days. It took me 15 years. We are slow. Huh? So from 1994 to 2009, finally when I solved it, okay, this is what comes. Now you know the answer, 5561 is the answer. I'm taking you how I arrived at that answer. So Arundhati Vasishtha said there was actually a time in the past. If you were there and you would have looked at the sky, you would have seen Arundhati walk ahead of Vasishtha the way Vyasa is telling Dhritarashtra day before the Mahabharata war. Okay? And that time, we don't know the exact year yet. I mean, we know, but I have not shown how I came to that. But any time after 11,091 BC and any time before 4508 BC. Now, what's the beauty of this? So, Mahabharata war can happen only between these two. You understand? Everyone understands the logic of it? Because that's the true observation at that time. Just this one observation and its decipherment, out of those 140 plus different claims, it removed 135 out. Because they are after 4508 BC, only 4 remaining. Okay, so now my question was, of course, 10 years after me, another guy, Siddhartha Chabra in Michigan, he said, this is the important thing, trust but verify. Remember, we said the Shruti. You heard, take it in a Shraddha, but verify for yourself. I mean, congratulations to Siddhartha. After 10 years after my work, he said, let's check if Nilesh, whatever he is telling is true. He took latest astronomy data, retried the whole thing and said, yeah, Nilesh is right, except the interval is even a narrower one, shorter one, with the better precise data. Good thing, bad thing? Good thing, because now we have to search for it just within this window. Okay, now that's great. Now I ask myself the question, but could this be just a coincidence? After all, it is just one shlok, one verse out of 100,000 verses. It could be just a coincidence. You know, my lucky interpretation and astronomy came into being. Is there any other evidence which points to the same thing? Again, keep in mind, I'm using the same tool that I showed at the beginning. Triangulation of explanation, prediction, testing in the context of a theory, everywhere. So I started looking for additional evidence, and this is what I found. There is many more. I'm just, as a demonstration, I'm showing you some. Bhishma, everyone knows Bhishma. On the 10th day, he fell in the battle. The war lasted for 18 days. And from that day, did he just go? Did he say just adios, ciao? No, he is lying on the bed of arrows, waiting for the day of winter solstice, 21st December in our times. If you read Mahabharata descriptions, close to 100 descriptions, it will point you to saying that the Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for minimum of 95 days. And that is from the 10th day of the war. So from the first day of the war, minimum of 105 days, 3.5 months between the first day of the war and the day of winter solstice. Now just pay attention for 2 more minutes, another astronomy or Mahabharata aha. Now, right now, do you know when Mahabharata war happened in terms of the lunar month of Indian calendar? Which lunar month of Indian calendar? How many of you are familiar with celebrating Gita Jayanti? When do you celebrate Gita Jayanti? Loudly? December 15, thank you. Now turn that into an Indian lunar month. No, this is where I have to say, you know, I have to get excited. I have to tell you what is the problem, then give the solution. Okay, yeah. So Margashirsha, it is the lunar month of Margashirsha. That is where Mahabharata war happened. Okay. Now today Margashirsha and December come together. If you follow, that's why we celebrate in December 15. So December 15, let's say the war begins or something like this. The first day of Bhagavad Gita, 10th day is like a December 25 by that estimate. Bhishma falls down. Today Mahabharata war happens. Bhishma falls down, looks at the sun, says, winter solstice is already over. Adios, ciao, had a great time seeing you, bye. We know that Mahabharata war did not happen today. Because Bhishma, the war has to begin in Margashirsha. Bhishma has to be on the bed of arrows for 95 days. You follow what I'm saying? And there has to be 3.5 months. Now astronomy. Astronomy, I have to tell you the fun thing of astronomy. The lunar month of the Indian calendar, okay, because seasons are due to the sun. But the lunar month shifts with respect to season by 1 month every 2000 years. Or to be astronomically precise, 2160 years. We'll take 2000. We have to shift the whole thing from Margashirsha and December happening together to split it by 3.5 months. Go backwards. How far back we have to go minimum? 3.5 months, guys. 7,000 years. Everyone follows? Now, that's very consistent with what we found from Arundhati Vasishtha observation. So, if I put this and refine, It's very consistent. It's not just a random coincidence. Actually, there is enough evidence in Mahabharata. It points to that. We get a 1600-year time period within which we should look for the year of Mahabharata war, 6700 BC to 5125 BC. Now, everyone has played the jigsaw and a crossword puzzle, so the next thing is very easy. So now get to the specific year of the Mahabharata war. Everyone knows how to solve the jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle, okay? So if you understand this jigsaw puzzle, then done. Okay, so here we have lots of descriptions of the planets, their positions with respect to specific nakshatra, two planets together, conjunctions, eclipses, star positions, you name it. 300 such observations, you bring them together, you get 5561 BC. Just to give you a quickly idea how the observation looks like, because if you are reading a peer-reviewed paper, then you say, where is the table? Where is the graph? Okay, there is no table, there is no graph. It is given in this fashion, in a visual fashion, okay? 6 observations of Saturn, 4 observations of Jupiter, 8 observations of Mars, 6 observations of Venus, 8 observations of Mercury, and goes on and on until you count all 300. Okay, you bring them together, that's how you get it. Now you are expert, we are going to do Ramayana in 2 minutes, okay? You are experts now. Same thing, doesn't change anything. Method is same, evidence is similar, and so on. How many pieces of evidence, astronomy evidence is there in Ramayana? Anyone remembers? 600. We are going to take 1% of it, 6. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you write 6 pieces of astronomy evidence from Ramayana, it takes you to 14,000 years ago. No ifs, no buts. You start the train from here, go backward in time, Back to the Future kind of movie. It stops at 14,000 years, not before, and it doesn't go any further. If you have a time in question answer, we'll go into that. So, just like we have a pole star today, Ramayana also has a pole star, but it is not the same pole star. Do you know that the pole star changes? How many of you know the pole star changes? Who thinks the pole star should not change? The story of Dhruva. Okay, our lifetime it doesn't change. That is the story, okay? But otherwise pole star changes. There is a beautiful description of a pole star of Ramayana times. Brahma Rashir Vishuddhasya Shuddhasya Paramarshya Archishmantah Prakashante Dhruvam Sarve Pradakshinam. Brahma Rashi, there is a Abhijit, that is a Vega. Okay, the nakshatra whose devata is a Brahma, that's a Brahma Rashi. That was a pole star. Here, the canopus, you couldn't see from India at that time. You have to go all the way to the southern tip of India. That's what Sugriva says to Vanara party. Today you can see Agastya, the canopus star from Delhi, assuming you can see anything from Delhi. Okay. But you could, in principle you can, okay? So that's what it is. So if you want to go back using these references, it takes you to 14,000 and then you use remaining, 600 minus 6 references, and then you can find out the events of Ramayana. Now, are we done? Now people suddenly say, oh, but that's just only astronomy. Well, what's your problem? Nyaya Darshana says, pramana tashyartha pratipatte. You talk about the evidence you have. You have some other evidence, we can talk about it. Okay, if you don't have evidence, either create evidence or shut up. That's what Nyaya Darshana says, pramana tashyartha pratipatte. The next thing it says, pramana anupapatti upapattibhyam, which means the evidence that doesn't exist is not useful to prove anything, that we understand. But it also says the evidence that doesn't exist, the non-existent evidence, is not useful to disprove anything either. But many people say that, but where is the horse? What do you mean? You have not found the horse. If you found the horse, immediately the Mahabharata is a real? What nonsense is that? Pramana tashyartha pratipatte. This is the problem of logical positivist. Okay, so that's what it is. So now we want to look for some evidence that we can look at. If the evidence exists, now when I said this, 5561 BC, 12,209, immediately some of you would have thought, but how come we don't have evidence for, and fill in the blanks? Right? But how come we don't have evidence for the astra, and this, and that, and the horse, and the elephant, and whatever? You can just fill in the blank. Well, if you want to see that particular evidence, get busy, guys. I mean, you can get up right now and leave and start digging or whatever it needs. Pramana tashyartha pratipatte. You can only talk of the evidence you have. Let's talk of what we have. Just 2 things quickly from Mahabharata, Ramayana, and then we'll stop. Mahabharata, many things. I mean, you 556 BC Mahabharata, then you say, if that is so, then what about this? What about this? What about this? How come we don't find the missiles and whatnot, Astra and Shastra, and thousands of questions? Okay, what kind of technology they had? How did they make these astronomy observations and so on? We'll just take two. Everyone knows Krishna's Dwarka was destroyed 36 years after the Mahabharata war. That's what Mahabharata says. The second one, 18 Aukshoni, this is a Indian unit of that time for the military strength, the individual size rather. So that comes to 4 million exclusive men fighting for 18 days who have come from India, west of India, east of India, fought for 18 days and practically gone. And these are the warriors. There may be few more people and we will not count those. So could this have any effect on the progeny after that? Suddenly the 4 million people, this is 7,500 years ago, the population was less. Okay, what could be the effect? And all as a researcher, you are a beggar and beggars cannot be choosy. So you look for evidence, you extract evidence. If it is there, you can talk about it. Let's quickly look at Krishna's Dwarka. Everyone knows Krishna's Dwarka is on the west coast of India. So that Gujarat area there. And the Krishna's Dwarka is no longer there. Huh? When you go to see the mandir, that is fine, but that is like after, like Vajra or whoever he built in the memory of Krishna, something like this we hear. So this is the Arabian Sea. Now the x-axis there is a time. Everyone remember, x-axis is time. That side is where we are today. Coming towards me, the vertical red line, dotted line is 5525 BCE. How do I get that? 5561 plus 36. Actually, I subtract the number because of BCE. So that's my predicted year for flooding and destruction of Krishna's Dwarka. Now, what evidence do I have? The y-axis is a sea level rise. Okay, so you see this curve kind of goes up, comes down, and then around that 5525 BC, it goes just shoots up 15 meters. Next 400, 500 years, it shoots up by another 8 meters, a net of 23 meters. Yeah. Very good. That's important. And for a young audience, it's more important. Yesterday, I gave a talk in New Jersey, and somebody who was in 10th grade, she said, thank you very much. And I said, thank you for what? The general lecture? She said, yeah, that too. But she said, thank you. You were saying the names of where the evidence is coming from. Okay, so I have given that talk yesterday, so I forgot maybe. Thank you for reminding me. So where is this coming from? This is not, data is not coming from Nilesh. Like, Nilesh did not close the eyes and said, let me do this. No. Okay, this is coming from Zarins, Z-A-R-I-N-S. Okay, basically studying the whole Arabian Ocean, Iraq, Iran, all the way India, the whole Arabian Ocean. 3 papers, same by Zarins group, 1992, 1998, 2002. The young crowd is very smart with the AI. You can even ask the question right now. Zarins, Z-A-R-I-N-S, 1992, 1998, and what did I say? 2002. Okay, this is that beautiful data from the West Coast. So you see this, but something else. If you understand Mahabharata history, you start understanding India's recent history. And I'm going to give you another clue. If you want to know the world history, you have to start with the Indian history. But this one, if you want to understand even the recent history of India, the archaeological history of India, because the recent is all about digging. That's what people think, unfortunately. Okay, how many of you have been to Dholavira or Lothal? Okay, so Dholavira in Gujarat, both places in Gujarat, and anyone has been to Mayuram in Tamil Nadu, east of Pumpuar? You have been there. So very glad we have both here. Okay, Lothal, you went to Lothal also? No. So what you find is, if you go right now, Lothal, Mayuram or Malladithurai and Dholavira are away from the sea. Dholavira is kind of very close. You can see the ocean. Malladithurai, you cannot see the ocean. It's like 10-15 kilometers away from it. Okay, inland. But if you go back to this time, 6 millennium BC, all three were ports, or just some time after. That is what the evidence says. Now, do you know why they were ports and why they are not ports today? Just follow. Let me see if you can see the cursor here. Do you see the cursor? No. Okay. Just, after that red line, the curve that you follow, and there is a horizontal line that reads MSL, mean sea level, which is the sea level today. When that water went up, it overshoot, the PID, that thing we were talking, it went up and it was on an average 3 meters more than what it is today. That is what made Mayuram, that is what made Dholavira, Lothal as a ports. and then follow. That line goes further before that red arrow starts coming down. For the next 2000, 3000 years, up to 2000 BC, the water level were up. Everyone sees what I'm saying? And then the water level started coming down. And as it coming down, then the water is receding from these places, and those places were no longer ports. So even to understand our recent history, the Mahabharata evidence tells you about Krishna's Dwarka, but something more. Now,
If I go towards
please.
the left, there would be a lot of land
Here,
above the sea.
yes, here.
We don't know anything about it.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, so that all culture. So what he's saying is towards my side, the sea levels is way down, and this is only 22. This is only like will take you to what? 32 meters. Do you know what? If you go to Ramayana times, 14,000 years ago, the sea levels were actually below than today by 125 meters. And some places 140 meters. Hold on to the questions, okay? All right. So now, is this just the only data point? No. Because we have a limited time, we are going to just go fast through this. But if you go around the world, 30 plus data points. I mean, 30 is what I have found. You get excited, find more, and you will find them for sure. Everywhere. Okay. And just the last, on this particular subject, the last point is, if you want to understand the world history, you have to start with the Indian Itihasa, Indian history. Again, this is from West Indies. If you want to just follow the Krishna's Dwarka evidence, just follow cricket. Okay. This is West Indies, Barbados, 7 different locations in the West Indies. What you see on the x-axis is time, 20,000 years ago to our times. This is a sea level height in the West Indies area there. And what do you see? For last 20,000 years, sea level is coming up, but it's coming smoothly with an occasional disruption that is called CRE, catastrophic rise event. You see those white bands? Their water is suddenly coming up. And we have 3. I'm going to, because just to save the time, I'm going to quickly go through this and show you all 3. Krishna's Dwarka we are discussing, so I'll not discuss more. It perfectly matches with that. Everyone knows how to convert 7.6K, 7,600. Before present minus 2026, then you will get that 5,000, the right number. I said Atlantis to the middle one, that's CRA2, and Ravana's Lanka. Now, Valmiki Ramayana doesn't talk of Ravana's Lanka getting destroyed, except one place. Some dreams do come true. If you remember Tratika's dream, when she is there, what does she see? Like Rama is sitting on an elephant and walking, the elephant is walking through Lanka. Rakshasas have been killed and fallen on the ground, and Lanka has gone underwater. That is a Tratika's dream. You can go and check that. Apparently one of the 3, all 3, but one came out true here, That is also there in the human social consciousness of India. In Kerala, anyone from Kerala? No? The Nayars, they say that, the descendants of Indrajit, they came to their shore. And they consider that Indrajit's blood is in there, and nothing wrong with that, by the way. Indrajit was a very powerful person. Okay, Ravana was a great person. He made the blunders and he paid for it. Okay, then Krishna's we talk, but Atlantis. Now everyone has heard Atlantis. Anyone here who has not heard the word Atlantis? Okay, now tell me about Atlantis. What else you know? Lost when? Don't know. Well, you have to read Plato's Timaeus. Okay, if you read Plato's Timaeus, he says, before his time, whoever told him, he said before his time, meaning Plato's times, 9,000 years before Plato's time, Atlantis went underwater. What is Plato's time? 2,500 years ago, 500 BC, plus 9,000, what is it? 11.5. Do you see 11.5? If you want to know the world's history, you have to start with the Indian history. The Krishna's Dwarka will give you confidence to trust Plato's Atlantis. The Shabda, that is just the herd method. Plato has just written, but now you can start trusting. Plato is telling you the truth also. So it's not like, us Indians versus others. If you go back 4,000 years, 2000 BC and beyond, there is no us versus them. I will show you in a minute here. Okay, I'll skip this for time. Next one, genetics. 4 million men, they just came, they fought 18 days and they were gone. Now, could this have any effect on the genetics? This is Monica Carmin paper 2015. Monica, M-O-N-I-K-A, Carmin, K-A-R-M-I-N, 2015. 92 genetic scientists together with Monica, another one. X-axis, you know by now. What is it? Time. 150,000 going to the 0. That's our time. Y-axis is bit interesting. Any molecular geneticist in the crowd? You, ma'am? Huh? Very good. Okay, so just if you would stand for a minute there. Okay, so just look at her. She is our expert for any questions on this after this. Okay. Now, if just you are like me, ordinary folks, and not like her, the geneticist, and so what will we say? Suppose Mr. and Mrs. Sharma enter the auditorium right now. Okay, and says, "Come on, the lecture is already over. They came late." That's what we will say. Not her. She says 3x's and 1y came late. Okay, that is that XX in a female, XY in a male, right? So when nothing extraordinary is happening, look at this curve from 150,000 to about 80,000, and even from 50,000 to 20,000. You follow what I'm saying? That's the baseline. If you take this, what is the number? What is the ratio? The ratio on the y-axis you have is the variety of the X chromosomes in a very simple, crude language, divided by the variety of a Y chromosomes. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah, but ratio correct. But then people start talking population. So I'm saying in a very crude way, just take it like this: the variety of X chromosomes divided by variety of Y chromosomes. Nothing extraordinary is happening. It's about 3:4. 3:1. That's what ideally it should be, around that. But something extraordinary happens. Something magic happens. Because we have a limited time, ignore the 70,000 dip there and 56,000 going up there, because we don't have a time. We can talk about this for 3 hours, just one slide. 1 hour each, okay? So the last one, I'll do it in a 1 minute. So last one, you have, this is known as a Y chromosomes bottleneck. Because look at the number. Usually it has to be 3:1, 3x's to 1y. Suddenly it has turned into 17x's to 1y. You understand? So suddenly the variety of X chromosomes has not changed, but the Y chromosomes has shrunk. Therefore, it is called Y chromosomes bottleneck. Anytime an earthquake happens, we ask the question, 3 questions we ask. Or if you don't ask, we should ask those 3 questions. How serious is the earthquake? When did it happen? And where it happened? Like what was the epicenter? Now, this is a genetic earthquake. These all of them. Let's ask the question, when did it happen? The answer, you just draw a vertical line, 7,500 years ago. How serious is that genetic earthquake? 17:1. Or if you want to do signal to noise ratio, 17 divided by 3 or 4 or whatever, about 5:1. One last question. So far so good. But you say, where is the epicenter? Because if it's in America, then we know the Mahabharata war has nothing to do with it. Mahabharata war did not happen. Actually, Monica Carmin, when they report, this is also from Monica Carmin. I have hidden this rectangle with a rectangle for a reason. Otherwise, somebody says, but what is about that peak? That's why I've hidden it. The horizontal line with a 1.0, which is the original equilibrium, the control group, so to say. And the deviation is telling you that Y chromosomes bottleneck. Now this time by regions. Okay, so South Asia, what is that? India. Why do we call South Asia? No, but why South Asia? Just call India. Because Pakistan also comes there, and Pakistan, should not feel bad to deal with the inferiority complex of Pakistanis, so that's why they call it South Asia, but it's India, right? Okay, so look at that green color. Okay, the first deviation, the first one to deviate very deep. Okay, deviate in the sense that bottleneck, Y chromosomes bottleneck. The longest that stayed that way and the last one to recover is India, the Indian subcontinent. Okay, just follow the next 2 lines, the colors, the orange color and the blue color. The orange is west of India, the blue is east of India. They are also more or less affected like India. You follow what I'm saying? Now, after that, though there are not many, Oceania is not there. But look at Andes and look at Siberia. You look at the Andes color and Siberia, they're just not there. I mean, they just followed almost the horizontal line and just gone there. Nobody came from South America to fight in Mahabharata war. Nobody came from Siberia. Nobody came from Oceania. It's not there. And something interesting, Central Asia, the turquoise color, I have hidden most of it there, but you can see the V shape at the bottom, and the yellow for Europe. They show the same signature of a Y chromosomes bottleneck, but 2,000, 3,000 years removed from the timing of the Mahabharata. What is happening there? World War. When did the World War happen? Not 3000 BC. Migration. And migration in which direction? Out of India migration. This is Aryan invasion, guys, but not the one you have been taught. This is, yeah, Krunvanto Vishwarya. Okay, this is that migration. And if you are not convinced by the human genetics data, then just in case you are not convinced, I have the domestic mouse genetics data. Okay, again, not paper by me. Okay, this is Bonhomme, a German genetic scientist, 2007. He looked at, if you can talk to a mouse, you say, where is your original home? Right? But since they cannot answer, you take the genetic samples and look at the coalescence. I mean, she can explain you the coalescence period. Then it says, it says India, India, India. Anyone from UP? Yeah, you should feel more proud. Sure. Okay? Because within India, it comes from UP. And what is the reason? I mean, of course, they found that sample and coalescence goes there. Basically, the hub of agriculture is India. Okay? I mean, not only India, it is everywhere. But it is so sophisticated and so ancient that the domestic all mouse varieties are from India. Now go figure. Okay. Agriculture zones are there elsewhere too. Okay. Quickly, last one. Ramayana, two things similar to this, paleontology. Valmiki Ramayana, 3-4 places talks about the elephants with 4 tusks. But the one specific one that Hanumana sees when he goes looking for Sita, he sees Ravana's palace and Pushpak Viman and the soldiers guarding along with elephants with 4 tusks. Actually 2 tusks, 3 tusks and 4 tusks. That's how the description comes. And now, people said, others or even Indians said, hey, this is the kind of nonsense our ancestors wrote in this. 4 tusks? What is that? And just to spoil the game, Darwin came on the scene. And the whole evolution and people started digging. Began after Darwin. Now, this morning we had a discussion. Why everybody is digging and we the fools in Indians also say we should also dig. People ask me, even on the podcast, and says, Nileshji, but please make a case where government should spend time and where should government dig. I said, government shouldn't waste time on digging. If you find something very prosperous, what you said, a good possibility, something interesting, yeah, maybe. But we shouldn't randomly, just because spend some money, increase the corruption and just dig. No, we shouldn't. Others don't have their text of their ancient narrations preserved for them. We have them. Now, in that context, we may dig. If some certain information comes, we can dig. But like a mindless digging, and people say, please say that, archaeology should do something. I said, if India closes the ASI department, I will be the happiest person. Okay? And when it comes to the archaeologists, again, it's recorded and I like that. They must be there. But I have not met one. I know some. There are exceptions like Ravi Korisetter, who dug in Jwalapuram. Phenomenal thing. That volcanic eruption that I showed you in the 75,000 graph, that is done by him. A soil layer, okay, after that an ash layer, and again a soil layer. You date the ash layer, it goes to 72,000 BC. Even that genetic graph, the 2 ups and downs that I did not discuss about, even they have to do with India. Okay, because of the time we are not going there. So yeah, there is some, I'm not saying anything no about it, but right now ASI is closed. I don't think there will be any issue. In fact, other than just few exceptions that I can count on here, I have to still meet an archaeologist, okay, who basically shows a sense of scientific acumen, logical reasoning and Tantra Yukti. I have not met one. I am very open to meet one, India or outside. Okay, but this is how we are brainwashed into thinking, but where is the archaeology evidence? What do you mean? Everything that I'm discussing is archaeology evidence. But we have been taught as if unless we find a pot, there was no human being. Okay, that's kind of thing. Okay, quickly last one, geography. What Sugriva is talking, and in the morning we had that discussion too. Sugriva is when he is describing in the Kishkinda Kand chapter 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. This is about Sugriva's atlas. Yeah, I didn't know that it was available in North America. I was telling my publisher to make it available in North America. Now it is available on Amazon, okay? Because the lady in New Jersey, they came with a book and I said, oh, you brought it from India? She said, no, on Amazon here. Sugriva's Atlas, something worth reading, the kids of somebody of any age, the grown-ups, everyone. Essentially, Sugriva, when he is telling the Vanara parties and sending in 4 directions, they don't go that far. But he's saying, hey, this is what the layout of the globe is. And he describes all the way from the east, with India at the center, from South America all the way to Alps in the mid, you can say Central Europe. And in the north from Arctic, Arctic Sea, he calls it Uttara Payasam Nidhi. He talks of aurora borealis, even when the sun is not there, still the place is bright, and so on and so forth, all the way to Antarctica, including Antarctica. Now the Europeans will tell, and that is true, that they figured out Antarctica in when? 1730, and finally they were confident in 1810. But Sugriva is talking about Antarctica 14,000 years ago. He calls it Yamasya Rajadhani, the capital of Yama. Okay, he says don't go there. It's very difficult, but if you go, you won't come back. Okay, and he's just describing something he does not describe. When he's asked, hey, what's beyond the Andes or anywhere in that area, he does not talk of North America. He does not talk of Houston. Right? He does not talk of Houston. He does not talk of the Western Europe. And can anyone tell me why? Ice Age. 14,000 years ago, okay, there is no Ice Age around the world, guys. There is an Ice Age in North America, there is an Ice Age in Western Europe and northern parts of Europe. India is doing just fine. Huh? Absolutely fine. Therefore, he says, when I ask, okay, what is beyond? He says, beyond Alps don't go. I don't know anything, there is nothing, it's all darkness. Because that portion and the North America, most of North America, all of Canada, half of United States, is under a thick 2 to 4 kilometer sheet of ice. Okay? So this also perfectly matches with that timing, just giving you additional one. Okay? Everyone knows this? Who does not know this? Who has not seen? Okay. No? Everyone has seen it? I can skip this. No, okay. So, because this has been like, talked more and in the reels and whatever the other thing, shorts, it just comes all the time. This is a structure in Peru, on the west coast of Peru there. Okay, when 500 years ago the Spaniards came and they asked the local Aymara and Quechua Indians, hey, did you build it? And just like the Simpsons Bart, they said, no, we didn't do it. Okay, so were your forefathers did it? No, up to the all best of knowledge, they said it was always there. Who built it, why it was built, nobody knows, but Ramayana knows. When Sugriva is describing the east direction after crossing the oceans and islands in Polynesia and everything, all of this Raupyadvip, Javadvip and so on and so forth, okay, he is talking about, then you will go, this is the insignia of Ananta. Now listen carefully, this is the last slide, almost second last slide. Insignia of Ananta, he says, and beyond that, it gives the physical location. It says why it was created, who created it, and how does it look. Let's start with how does it look. You see it? This is the explanation given by Sugriva and therefore Valmiki. Trishira kanchanas ketus talastasya mahatmana stapitah parvatasya agre virajati sa vedika. A trident, golden in color, with a big long pole, mahatmana, tala, okay, 600-800 feet. Stapitah Parvatasya agre, in the front of the rock there, it has been engraved, and Virajati Sa Vedikaha. Again, where everyone here knows the Yajna and the Veda, and we say Swaha, Swaha. You see the bottom rectangle at this? That is what it is. The next shlok will say why it was created, who created, and where is its physical location. Purvasya Adishi Nirmanam Krutam Tat Tridasheshware Tatah Parahemamaya Sriman Udaya Parvata. This was the international day line 14,000 years ago. Purvasya Adishi Nirmanam, the marker for the east direction. This is where the day changes and so on, okay? And Purvasya Adishi Nirmanam, Krutam Tat Tridasheshware, the Indra, the deity Swami of the east direction, he created it. And where is it? Tatah Parahemamaya. If you go beyond this, you will find the ice-covered mountain, Udaya Parvata, that is Andes. Remember, I said this is the insignia of Ananta. That's what Ramayana says. If you go beyond this, this is Peru, and you look at the Peruvian Andean range, you will find, young crowd can do that afterwards, 3 to 5 peaks named Ananta. Monte Ananta, Cerro Ananta, Punto Ananta, and so on and so forth. And if you try to say, what is the meaning of it? The answer will say, we don't know. It possibly means something in Quechua or Aymara language. But anyone who knows Ananta, so that is just the whole imagination of Andes connected with the Rockies, and just imagine each peak is like a hood of that multiple Ananta. If you go to Bhagavad Purana, it will say Ananta is the mountain. It doesn't say mountain, it says Ananta. A big Ananta is lying down in the Patala. That is the Patala. Okay, that is what we are saying. Alright, so I quickly shared like a few disciplines of science, but there are 20 more to go. We'll stop here. This is how the books look. If you are interested, if you have a sleeping problem, all of my books work very well. Any of them you open at the bedtime, If you don't want to read, you can use a smartphone. Go to YouTube, in the search type Nilesh Oak, you'll get 2000 talks or podcast or lectures. Any one of them start watching, you'll get into binge watching and a great knowledge accumulation or a great good night's sleep.
Nilesh, do you have audio versions of this book?
His question is, do I have audio versions of this book? The first book, When Did the Mahabharat War Happen? It's available on audible.com. Okay. And the second one is in the making. It's my laziness. Like there are these volunteers who want to just do it for me, but they also need my help, and just my time is kind of getting squeezed in multiple ways. So Ramayana is in the works, and other books will also be on Audible. Okay. But don't wait for it. Okay, this is a free solution, no side effects for your sleep issues. I'm done. Thank you. If there is a time, we'll take it. If there's no time, we can stop. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, since the topic was very interesting, and obviously it's something that probably requires 10 sessions of 1 hour each to actually get to what he's got through in like an hour and a half. So hats off to you, Nilesh. Now, since you are on it, you have a list of volunteers who work for you. Just a thought came into my mind. Is there a way that and think about it, and you don't have to answer right now. If somebody wants to volunteer to research for you and they get some credit volunteer hours, if some youth wants to work, you can guide them, direct them, and if they benefit out of it, you will benefit out of it. It's just a thought that came to my mind, right? Right? Okay, so for having said that, we went a little over time, but that's fine. What we can do is we can take a couple of things. We can take a 10-minute bio break, tea, no coffee, tea, snacks, and because, and then we can just take a 10-minute break. This event is live on Arya Samaj Greater Houston YouTube. So even if you haven't missed your notes or something, you can go back and see it. It's just in the first few minutes, I had unfortunately not covered the presentation, but after 15-20 minutes, if you go and see the YouTube, like if you go through the whole relay, the stream, you will see the screen and Nilesh both. So if you have missed something, you can go back and see it. Arya Samaj Greater Houston Sunday live stream, you'll see it. It'll be there, okay, after this event. That being said, again, I'm going to repeat it. Please, if you can, be a little liberal with your donations. The event hosts and sponsors have spent out of their own pocket. There's no corporate sponsor or there's no other, business sponsoring this event. So I'd really appreciate that. And we do have some of these cheat sheets there. If you want to ask, so after the 10-minute break, we can come back and we'll quickly pick some questions. So while you go out, just drop your questions there. If you have copied some registers, you want to register for such events, so we can easily reach out to you in future. And if you have any ideas to conduct any such event, we'll help you. We'll conduct those events here for you, right? So please register if you can, if you like to. No pressure. Your suggestions are welcome. And your questions. But a question, just write question and name so that we can sort out the questions and then we can come back. So 10-minute break, register, donate. We take checks, cash, demand drafts, pledges, everything. So, okay. All right. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Welcome back. Yeah. Please take your seats again. If you want to just move up, I think for those who are sitting behind, if they want to move up, please feel free to. Okay. Okay, all right. Welcome back. I know we've lost few people, which we knew we would if we take a break. But I think it was kind of something we had to, considering that, the session has gone a little longer than we thought it would. We have some questions, Nilesh bhai. So you want to choose, and then answer those. And so these are the names. Okay. Let me see. There will be a few more. I'll bring a few more. Okay. And you can actually, Kalyan, you can help him, and then he can start answering while you kind of go through. I have a few questions about if what I'll do is, if you want to get in touch with Arya Samaj or for any event you want to organize here or with Nilesh, just leave in the registration or one of those cheat sheets. Just write, I would like to, whatever. I'll collect it at the end of the session, and we'll figure out whether you want to, get in touch with Nilesh and benefit by whatever work he does, or you want to connect with Arya Samaj or anything else. So we have those cheat sheets back there. You can leave your contact details and what you want to do. We can do that. Okay. So that being said, if you haven't registered, please register. I'm going to leave it right there. Okay.
I'll address that, but I'll address that. Therefore, it's worth addressing. Okay. Okay. Let's begin. See, I'm just quickly reading a good number of questions I can. So I'll start with the general statement that I have not read all, but even without reading this, I can tell you there won't be any question here that I have not heard before and that I have not responded to. Okay, this is very important because what happens is, again, what you are asking is extremely genuine, and some of them need to be answered, others do not need to be answered. The point is, the kind of level that the questions come is not what we discussed today. So problem is, if I have not discussed today and you are asking a question about that, essentially I have to give you another 1 hour lecture. We do not have a luxury for that. Okay, so maybe I should have said it, but guys, this is also a very basic things that we have to improve as a Indian ecosystem. Like, so when we have a question answer session, it's kind of there, ask the question about what we discussed. Okay, still I will take the question because I want to make a point, and which is related to today's thing. So, and this is not, so don't take it personally, like when I say this question. So all questions, if I talk about it, you will take it personally. You should take it personally. But tell us more about what is Kalpa Vigraha, where is it, who has it? Okay, age 72. See, I told you, the kids, I don't have a problem. Okay. Now, what is, I deliberately selected this question to make a point. Everyone knows what Kalpa Vigraha is? It is in your know. If you don't know, you are the lucky ones. It just floats into in nonsensically in the social media. It will say something like, this bronze Vigraha, the Murti, 38,000 BC or something that old, okay? And CIA found it in a box and this is going on. So CIA found it in a box. It's a very secret thing. The timing is also apparently given. Okay, what is secret about it? But only secret is you don't know where it is. You don't know where it is found. It's atrociously nonsensical, idiotic, stupid thing that is floating in the social media. Now, having said that, can this be real? Of course it can be real, and I could be wrong. But how do we figure out what to do about it? There is no point you asking me the question, because even if I give the answer, you are not going to believe it. Even what I just said now, you are not going to believe that. That's why we have a Darshan Shastra. So ask the question, okay? What problem does this solve? Like, you found an object. What problem does this solve? Kalpa Vigraha, you found a Murti. Have you seen other statues before? Yes or no? Hundreds of statues. So what does it do? 38,000 BC, or that is typically the number. Okay. How did the people figure it out? I mean, these are the questions you need to ask before even saying what is Kalpa Vigraha, what is it? I already gave the answer. It's most idiotic, most stupid, okay, very destructive. It destroys the credibility of individual researchers like me. It doesn't destroy mine, but it trivializes a work of someone like me. Somebody spends 35 years figuring it out, and some guy can create something on AI, and this is going on for a long time, by the way, before even AI, and throws it out and just get us charged up. I mean, are we so cheap that we need us one statue with something that CIA found somewhere? What if that's Vigraha, whatever, Kalpa Vigraha is not there? Does it affect us in understanding about ourselves? So the intention may be even right, but we have to develop that intellect, scientific acumen, logical reasoning skills, the pradnya, the shraddha and pradnya. Even the shraddha has the ability to immediately detect. We call it a BS test. I mean, we can go by different names. There is a BS test here. There is some big problem with it. You don't need to ask this. But if you are so serious about it, take this as your research subject, spend 35 years. And publish. If you feel this is not about the person who asked the question, I'm saying, but if somebody wants it, just publish about it and let people figure it out. Okay? Deliberately I chose this question. Okay? No, this is not what we need. This is not adding to the glory of Sanatana. This is taking it away. Okay? This is creating us the bozos that the Britishers made beginning 1785. And we prove that we are bozos. Okay, that's what this question is about. I mean, question meaning the Kalpa Vigraha, the whole thing that goes around. What are the main controversial effects of dharma? None. When the Vikruti happens, then anything can happen. Okay, what are the bad things about a spoiled food? A lot. But what are the bad things about a nutritious food? I mean, that's the kind of question it is. There are nothing bad about it as long as you eat in moderation. I mean, that is given. Okay. So no, there is nothing bad. Actually, dharma is that one sustains. Dharma is that brings the equilibrium. Now, somebody doesn't like equilibrium. That's a different issue. But you saw that even in the prayer in the morning that we saw. Okay, some of you who might be here for the prayer, it is all about Shanti. It's the equilibrium. Shanti is the equilibrium. Okay, so there is nothing bad about it.
Nilesh, a lot of people think dharma has problem is because of the fights that happen due to differences.
Yeah,
I think that could be one.
yes. So that's why I said, so basically you think of as a Sanskruti, Prakruti, Vikruti. So that there is that misunderstanding, it will happen. Okay. So now you may not agree with something. So for example, dharma, you see people when the Bhagavad Gita also fight. Now that is not a problem. Fight meaning they say, well, but I think it may mean this. That's a good thing. This is like, say for example, you're doing an exercise. Okay. The exercise by itself does not do any useful work. You follow? But you are preparing for a useful work by doing the exercise. In the same fashion, when the Indian tradition, the Vada, the Savada, Vada, debate, Indian debate, Vada, I don't want to use the word debate because that debate is very different than the Oxford debate. Oxford debate has a room, I mean, it's a great debate, that style also, but it has a room for, I mean, not room, it is based on rhetoric and polemics. If you can effectively make a point, that carries the day. In this case, you may not be even very effective, but you are fighting for the truth, trying to know the truth. It may appear like you are failing, that's fine. Okay, that's why Bhagavad Gita, I mean, Shankaracharya is writing and Ramanujacharya is writing and Madhvacharya is writing and each one of us are studying. And we might have our differences. That is good because we learn from the others. Okay. Curious about how and where the old scripture from Vedas or beyond are available and how old is the oldest preserved document. Okay, great question again, but where does it come from? I mean, guys, again, I will answer because it's a question and I decided to read the question. This is something you can ask AI. Have you tried asking AI? What is the oldest document? I mean, this again is a question, but it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't do a good justice for the use of this time. This is something you can ask Wikipedia. Ask Wikipedia. Do you know what it says? Now I'll tell you. If it's on a birch document preserved very well, it may go for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. The oldest document that I have seen at Oxford is 2,500 years old. See, this is a knowledge of the kind 2 plus 2 equal to 4, 3 plus 3 equal to 6. It doesn't have anything like that is something, aha, nothing about it. This is like a basic, Okay, Nilesh, what is your age and where did you spend first 5 years of your life? And then what did you do? And what you used to eat during those times. I mean, this that kind of thing. If it's written on the birch, the palm leaves, like, okay, Bhurjapatra. Usually life of a Bhurjapatra is about 500 years. If preserved well, may go for 600 years. So therefore, anything written on a Bhurjapatra, preserved well, might go up to 14th century. But people were writing. Now, see, really the question that actually asked there is, so if Vedas are that old, Mahabharata is that old, how come the oldest document is only from 14th century? So ask that question. I mean, again, I'm not specifically referring to Shekharji, Vise, whoever that is. Okay. The specific point I am mentioning is these are the questions that you can just ask Wikipedia and get the answer. And don't put that into saying, oh, I'm asking a smart question. So therefore, Mahabharata 7,500, how come the oldest oldest manuscript of Mahabharata is only 2,000 years old? This is some very basic answers, I mean, again, that means like we don't understand scientific acumen, unlike this. Did dinosaurs were mentioned anywhere in the Puranas? No. So what does that tell you? That Puranas, everything is like younger than 65 million years. Okay. Can you speak 5 minutes on actual Sri Lanka and where Rama built the Setu? Yeah, I can, but that will just drag the thing. Why 5 minutes, guys? Just go to YouTube, type Nilesh Oak, Ravana, Lanka. Have a blast. 20 plus videos, okay? When thinking about modern science and advancements of knowledge of Indian history, how does that help or harm our research progress of Indian history? Okay, derivation, carbon dating, etc. Okay, evolution. Yeah, so great question actually. It's coming from Anaga. Okay, when thinking about modern science and advancement of knowledge of Indian history, how does that help or harm our research progress of Indian history? When you use modern science, actually we start learning the secrets of our Indian history. So it actually doesn't harm, it very helps. Okay. In fact, there is no difference between modern science and Darshana Shastra, if that makes a point there. Okay. They are very close. In fact, in a simple way, I'll say where the modern science stops, Nyaya Darshana begins. Okay. Some of the things that modern science cannot take into account because of its reductionist nature. Because it is reductionist, it has also done some magical things, like some of the technology that we see, because it didn't burden itself with saying what is Atma, is there a Atma? It did not burden itself. I mean, I can give a whole lecture on the modern science, the birth of modern science, right from Copernicus to our times. Okay, so because of its reductionist nature, it actually benefited. But it also has its limitations. Nyaya Darshana goes beyond those limitations. Nyaya Darshana is an empirical, very rational kind of science, like a modern science. But if you say, I want to find out if Atma truly exists, Nyaya Darshana says, yeah, let's get busy. It has the same framework, it can do this. Okay, like again, you don't know, most of you don't know P.V. Vartak, but you say you are going into yoga and finding something on another planet. Okay, we can use the modern science framework or the Nyaya Darshana framework to explore it. Ultimately, we don't know. I mean, if you want 100% certainty from anything, about anything, forget Nyaya Darshana. Even the modern science is not for you. Many people don't realize that. There is a very fake confidence, like hyped confidence about modern science, that it tells you everything. No, the person who does the cutting edge research, they know how little they know about any subject. Okay, but great question there. And does it harm? No, it doesn't harm. Actually, we have to take use of this. We have to use a darshana to understand things about ourselves. I think that's it. Yeah, curious. Okay, did dinosaurs? Good. And this is, I think, Kapilji, right? These are Kapilji's notes. Yeah. While he's walking here, anyone has a last question that I can answer as yes or no? What made you leave chemical engineering and start researching ancient history? No, great question. Whoever asked it. No, I did not leave chemical engineering. Okay, what do you mean by leave chemical engineering? Like I may not be working in that area. So I went to India, for example, like last 2 years, I spent time and I was sitting in Nasik and guess what? I get a phone call from Atlanta. And he says, there is the Sula winery, and they says there is a winery and then this is specific issue. Can you go and handle it? So I said, so one time I can handle it. But I did that. And some dairy, dairy in that area, that also I worked with. But then they said, can you be just like a lawyer, can you be on our, what do they call, retention or something? So they given the money, they put me on a retention. Anytime they call me, I have to be available and answer. I said, no, that doesn't work. So I have left chemical engineering only in that way. Okay. What does dharma mean in a everyday life of a teenager? Okay. This is for everyone. Okay. Just look at this. You have a desire. You have a knowledge, you want to grow that knowledge. You have a desire, you want to contain that desire. Nothing wrong with the desire. Desires of all kinds. See, this is the beauty. I mean, we don't have a time for this. But you look at the all Upavedas. Okay, you have a discussion of Ayurveda. Is very, very pragmatic. When Ayurveda, you're looking at Ayurveda, like say as a teenager, what are the goals of teenager? Just focus on those. Forget everything else. When Ayurveda talks about it, you know what is the dharma of Ayurveda? Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. You want to fix the body. Okay, then the sharira, remember the word, sharira mana buddhi. Of course, they use some other techniques to fix the sharir also. Like the psychotherapy also is used in Ayurveda. But sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam, they don't care what is used. I mean, some of this may get shocked. I mean, we shouldn't. But for example, alcohol, how does Ayurveda looks at it? It says it's a food. There is a shlok in Charaka Samhita. You take a spoonful, in your body it becomes amrut. You take a quarter, in your body it becomes a poison. So it is not, so like certain illness, a soup of a certain animal, certain parts of an animal, you take it, it will happen. And our people just go, oh my God, I didn't know that. I mean, if I say something, you will just go haywire here. For example, in a Sharangadhar, okay, and also Vagbhata, there is a thing for certain type of very incurable chronic cough. There is a certain soup or medicine of a cow. Now, this is shocking to everyone here. Agree? You take that, and therefore it says, therefore cow is a pavitra and a shuddha. The what levels they have gone, so when you take at the extreme one thing, you take it to that perfection. Now, it doesn't say therefore let's start enjoying the meat. No. It says if you are a healthy person, you should not be eating it. It will bring you the illness. But sometimes when you are ill, it can be used. Now, isn't that how we do with the allopathy drugs? They're actually bad for you. But when you're not feeling well in the right quantity, just to fix it, it is used. And you'll see this everyone. Go to the Kama Sutra. He says Kama Vasana is natural. But instead of like taking it into a taboo, turn that into an open discussion. Okay? Right for appropriate age and everything. And you'll find it into everything. Nothing under the sky is a taboo in a dharma. So for teenagers, I mean, actually a very complicated time of the year. I hated my teenage years. Like the younger ones, if you're playing with the young ones, they say, are you that young to play with them? And you sit with the elders and they say, hey, just get out here. The elders are talking. But on the other hand, I remember being a 4 and 5 year old and sleeping in my mom's lap, and I was a voracious reader. So I knew a lot of stuff about a lot of subject. And the moms will be just sort of discussing the sort of a gossip, and some other lady will say, oh, I didn't understand. I'm saying, I understand. Inside. So I think that's the issue. So I think something very open. So what does dharma mean in everyday life? Not any different than what I discussed there. Kapilji, you want to go through this, or what is the idea? I think these 1, 2, 3, 4 are not the questions, right? What is the timing? One question, Raja Banga. What is the timing of Indus Valley civilization? Okay, Indus Valley civilization, as we understood academically, from 2000 BC, or to be precise, 1800 BC to 7000 BC. Why is the script different from Devanagari? Why this is only question about Indus Valley? India has many scripts, and as you go back in time, the scripts differ. There is a mention of a script even in the Rigvedic times, and even we don't know which script they are talking. Okay, so script is different in language, and if it all Genesis is same, then where is the similarity? Sorry, is Raja here still?
No, he's not here.
No, okay. So I don't know what he means. All yours.
So this was basically.
Is that a question?
Yeah, this was the question.
What?
Just basically, if some youth wants to get into what you've got. What would
Okay.
be the stepping
Okay,
stones,
okay.
stepping stones?
Okay, so if youth wants to, if anyone is excited and wants to do something, like, guys, I mean, I can tell you, okay, let's do this project or something, that may happen. But if any youth, or why just youth, we are all youthful people here, okay? Any one of us wants to do something, my suggestion, before, I used to tell, read Sir Karl Popper. I was naive. I used to say, read Karl Popper, the logic of scientific discovery and conjectures and refutations, because those are my favorite books, and actually all 20 books of his. Then I realize, once I tell them, people say, please tell me, where should I start? I say, Karl Popper. The next time the guy is coming from the front, he or she changes the side of the road. Because they don't want to interact with me and respond to, like, did you read the Karl Popper book? They might have tried and they say, this is not for me, or whatever. Actually, it's very fascinating, but not for everyone initially. My simple direction is, no matter what stage of life, what station of life you are, start with the Bhagavad Gita. If you already are there, just continue with it. This is not, I'm just saying as a simplistic answer. This is my personal experience, and personal experience cannot be denied. Which is to say, if you start studying Bhagavad Gita, you will know what to work on next. Doesn't matter which area, in your study, in your career, and all of this. That's not to say only do that. Like, talk to counselor. I'm not pulling you away from it. But what to do, how to do, the maturity that is required, finding that is a doable thing. Because otherwise people just have some grand ideas. Like, I mean, one of my friend, Shirish happens to know him. I will not mention the name. Like, he has this grand idea of building a grand university in India. And something like this. And he says, so he used to ask me, so Nilesh, have you considered going back to India or something? I said, no, I have not. This is like going back 20 years. I am in India, the fellow is here, and I don't think he has intentions of returning. So there is no point just having a grand ideas which are not grounded. Start with the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, that's a very simple message actually. Frankly, you will find your path. I'm confident of it. It's not just my experience alone. It is the experience of many that I am interacting with. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm actually pretty pleasantly surprised that so many people made it back after the break. So typically we see a very different picture after a break.
That was a test, right?
Yeah, that was a test. Yeah, so kudos to you again. So, all right, it's been really interesting. One thing we can do, as I said, there are some cheat sheets back there if you want to connect, just because we don't have time to do a lot of one-on-ones now. But there's a cheat sheet there if you want to connect with Nilesh Bhai or Kalyan Bhai or, Gopi Bhai or Arya Samaj. Write your contact details and what you want, and we'll see how we'll work through it, and we can do that. Apart from that, I'm going
to tell about tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I thought you, okay, yeah. So can you tell about that one? Yeah, please.
Well, one of the problems with a big room like this, we sometimes don't have close interaction. So what I organized is a space in Siena Public Library. If somebody is more interested in a closed session and really dig into what he's trying to say, because there are a lot of things I could challenge, but I'm still quietly sitting for tomorrow. So think about that to come and attend. Only problem is, so far we have about 7 people. I will probably can handle another 13 there in terms of space, because I didn't know even this much people come here. So that's an opportunity to ask more. Time is 1:15. 1:15. After lunch you come there and we'll go on as long as we can handle. Location is Siena Public Library. Siena.
Is there a room or something? Is it a room or something?
It's a room. You enter there, you will know. I'll have people to get you there. Siena Public Library. Okay? So that's another opportunity to have some closer interaction and feel less stupid while
and no lecture.
making the question.
And no lecture.
And no lecturing on a specific topic. Another thing is that, again, we will introduce the similar things a little bit, and then we continue with discussion. Okay?
Okay, so one last thing that came to my mind, again, it was very random. I just checked with them, Nilesh Bhai, and so as I said, again, you may be saying that so I know our Indians like to attend, Bollywood events, pay $150 for a ticket, or a $1,000 table with Priyanka Chopra or Ranbir Kapoor, and nothing wrong with that. But then we want our kids to have the knowledge of Nilesh Oak, and proceed on the path that people like him proceed on. But we don't want to. But you're going to pay there. So see what example you're going to give for your kids. All I'm going to say is, based on that, he's here for next couple of days. We are trying to. You have an opportunity as a family to take 3 or 4 of them out for dinner, 2 hours. If anybody wants to bid for it, $250 and above, he's here for next 4 days. $250 is what you will pay the organizers. Nobody's getting any money out of it. It's just to cover the cost. There's no, Arya Samaj is not getting anything out of it. It's just to cover the cost, because we don't have much time for one-on-one. So if anybody wants to pay $250 and bear the bill for a lunch or a dinner, if you're interested, let us know. I'm not going to, go on with it, but he's here. We'll try to work out if we can. It's not a guarantee as yet. Just a thought, and just something I'm putting forward there. So thank you. I appreciate your presence, and thank you so much for coming. Really, it was a great event. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great question. No, I wanted to just say that I mean, just one of the people that took my example that they didn't know who I was, but I actually I graduated from PCF, so just probably I actually went so I wanted to say that like today's lecture today talking about I took 4 days to know, so oh no, I took it. It's better for me to do that, but also like Monday, Tuesday, I'll check the lecture. I'm really excited about that. Oh, I'm so sorry.